All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We are live. It is NFL Draft Day, round one. This is Drunk Prospecting. We've got our beers. David, you got your beer?
Oh, yeah, they're here.
That's right. You got to turn the koozie out, man. Labels out. Them's the rules.
You know, I like to see it. I like to see the logo.
It's all right. It's for you.
Are there not enough logos here on the jacket to appease you?
No, we've got our jacket swag on. Look at this. We got jacket swag.
Dude, I mean, come on. Like, look at this. This is $14 of just pure excellence. Right?
So fun fact, and let's just get everyone ready right now. Fun fucking fact. These jackets are now $90 on Amazon.com. We bought them for $13. You know what? We could be winning the draft. We could be winning our jacket game. I mean, this is going to be a shit ton of fun. This is going to be a shit ton of fun. So, David, we talked a little bit about what we wanted the 49ers to do in round one on our last show. But for the uninitiated, what was our general strategy that we wanted to pursue for the 49ers, especially now that Mary Kay Cabot, who is kind of the Jason Cole of, I guess, Cleveland Brown reporters. So, take that for what that's worth. But now that she's confirmed,
I feel like that's kind of a low blow. Is that true?
That's the word on the street.
A lot of attention to Browns football, but that's
the word on the street. But apparently,
wait, hold on. Okay, wait, we got chat disabled. That's
dumb.
That shouldn't be accurate. Okay, we'll figure that out here in a minute. I don't know what I'm doing exactly.
So basically what we thought, I mean, we've got TV in the background, commissioners coming up for the requisite booze right this second. There it is, the booze. I love the booze. I love them. Just like Steph Curry, just give me the booze. But what was our preferred strategy for the 49ers at 2 from our last podcast?
I mean, so we're really hoping it's all about hashtag defense, I think, right? We talked about edge and kind of DB are really the two strong options. I mean, you're looking at some good players at again, premium positions. That's really, kind of the two most important positions on your defense, being able to get after the passer, being able to cover people on the back end. So I think that's really what we're hoping for. I think ultimately, as long as it's not Leonard Fournette, we can probably make do, because I think what you're looking at after Myles Garrett is really a pretty large second tier of players that are all, good, maybe not necessarily guys that you're planning on being face of the franchise types, as kind of like you are with Garrett essentially. But, I think good players, and there's not a lot of difference between the quality of players that you're getting for quite a while after 2. So I think they have a lot of options. That's what makes it, I think, so tough to really get a good feel for what they are going to do. But I think that's our hope, definitely, is that they kind of lean defense, specifically one of those two positions.
Yeah, so we definitely are leading edge, maybe defensive back. Fournette would definitely be a screw up. Of course, the Mitch Trubisky train. What do you think about by the way, Forverts he calls him Mitsubishi because of a tweet from like 3 months ago, talking about how, Deshaun Watson beat Alabama in the national championship game and some guy named Mitsubishi is going to get drafted before him. It really is a quality tweet. It really is a quality tweet.
That's pretty excellent. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, when it comes to quarterback, so the difference between quarterback and like Leonard Fournette to me is I can at least understand the thought process with quarterback, right? If you like your guy, and we've talked about how with this quarterback class, from the outside at least, nobody's really sold on these guys as kind of day one starters that are going to come in and just be effective players. Obviously all rookie quarterbacks have their bumps and whatnot, but some guys are kind of ready to start out the gate and are able to, you can tell early on, right, that these are going to be quality players. Nobody really thinks that of any of the top 4 options really in this quarterback class. And so, but on the other hand, you don't really hear that this is like a terrible quarterback class all that often. And so I think the 49ers are in a position where, they don't have to necessarily start the guy right away. They did bring in Hoyer, who can be kind of that bridge. So you can at least understand the process of if they like a quarterback and they want to go get him, like, okay, you may not agree with the value or these particular prospects, but again, you understand how they get there. It's like we talked about with Steve, right? Is you understand how general managers end up in that position where you're taking Blaine Gabbert or a Jake Locker or somebody like that, up higher than kind of the draft community thinks that they should be going. With running back, it's completely different. I mean, it's just there's no explanation for taking somebody like Leonard Fournette, number 2 overall, that makes any sense to me.
So while you get the chat figured out, I want to hear from the fans. Let's do this. Because
are we sure that Google Hangout has chat? I'm looking around here and I'm not seeing anything. I see
group chat. That's the list all available commands. Enter / ? I guess we'll do what the machines tell us because might as well do it now. Can't do that shit anyway. Oh well, we'll figure that out later. But if you are watching live and the commenting feature or the chat feature, I mean, technology, I don't understand it. If it's not working for you, hit us up on Twitter. It's at Better Rivals and at Newman NFL and hashtag it drunk prospecting, because we're about to get drunk. This is beer number 3. I started drinking at work. Because
you got a little bit of a head start. I'm catching up. We're on we're like midway, almost done with 2. So we'll be getting there.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be like, there is the one rule, the one goal I have for myself on this entire thing is we're not about to throw up again. As long as we don't quite get there, I think it's a win.
Yeah. Tim G on the Twitters tells us that chat is disabled for this live stream. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to make that go, but
I don't make the rules, man.
Yeah. I don't know. So it says chat works on YouTube. I don't know why chat works on YouTube, but at least y'all are hitting us up where we know where to read your comments. Aaron and Carl, I love what you're doing there. So really, how excited were you earlier today, David, when it was last night, about 9 p.m. The rumors start coming through. Myles Garrett may not be the number 1 choice. It might be Mitsubishi Trubisky. And what happens? You get a little swole.
Dude, I was trying so hard to just ignore, like, it's been the whole thing, right? We want to live in this world where we don't let ourselves believe that Myles Garrett is an option because it just doesn't seem like a thing that should reasonably happen. And I think did a pretty good job of that up until this morning, really. And then once there was just like a flood of bullshit coming out about Trubisky and that they're not sold on Garrett and all this stuff. They want to try to maybe trade up, and you're just like, what the shit is happening? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I think for a little bit kind of had some fun with it. And it was fun to imagine, even for a brief period of time, what Myles Garrett would look like on this team. And just the defensive line of having him and Buckner and Armstead and kind of the havoc that they could cause, especially, I mean, you're talking, in those sub packages, in the 4-man line stuff, like having those guys go after the quarterback would just be, it'd be a lot of fun. Like, it would be more fun than we have had watching 49ers football in a long time.
For me, what really kind of went like, oh shit, was when the Vegas odds started to shift considerably. And when all of a sudden the money on Myles Garrett was starting to shrink and everybody was putting money on Trubisky, there were some sports books in Vegas that even took the prop bet of the first pick overall off the table, which was pretty phenomenal, all things considered, because basically, I mean, Vegas is set up to take your money, right? Them's the rules. They want your money. And so they want money coming in on both sides. When the money stopped coming in and was coming in heavy on Trubisky, in other words, when it became an obvious bet, they thought to themselves, someone must know something that we don't. And so they pulled the bets. And that to me was like, oh shit, this could actually happen. This could happen. And then, it was like, nah, your dreams were snatched before you could even think about them. But the pick is in. The pick is officially in. NFL Network.
BT Dubs, before we get to this live chat, I found the option finally, and it says that it's enabled. So I turned it off, turn it back on, because that's the one thing that you're supposed to do. And so I don't know. You'll have to let us know if that's working out. If it's not, I have no fucking clue.
Well, there's a Q&A module, and I just clicked on the button, and it says opening. I don't know what that does, but we'll figure it out. If the pick comes in before this stops open or starts to open or whatever, I'm gonna just cancel it because I don't know what it's gonna do to the video feed.
So far, so good.
Yeah, with the technology, bro. Technology killed the podcast stars, I guess. or some
You
shit.
think that like two people that have worked in technology for like a pretty solid period of time?
You know, I wouldn't admit that out
Um,
loud. We don't want to make ourselves like even more foolish than these jackets do.
By the way, like over under on how many more minutes you're gonna wear this jacket because it's hot as fuck.
It is
I'm
pretty
like
fucking hot.
I'm like starting
Not
to
gonna lie.
sweat in this thing.
It's
It's not making it much longer. We're gonna shed the jacket here. Soon.
I quit that Q&A thing just because it wasn't coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I found it, found the option, I guess, at least in kind of the YouTube settings there. It says it was enabled. I don't know.
Here it comes. Here it comes. He's walking up. Brown selection. Let's do it.
Fucking dumb face.
God, dude, please be Mitsubishi. There it is.
Fuck.
Ah, they got it right.
All right.
They got it right.
The dream
Okay,
is,
here we go.
is gone.
We are on the
I have
clock.
so I mean this is the weirdest thing, right? Is I feel like for the last, as long as we've been doing this really, and Trent Baalke's been there the entire time, and it's we've had a pretty good feel, right? It's like, okay, we know what type of players that he likes to go with. We know generally what we're looking for here. And I think the combination of a completely new regime and just having no track record for, John Lynch whatsoever in terms of the type of players that he prefers. And, beyond this, the platitudes that he, just spew out of his mouth in every press conference. It's just like, okay, I don't put a lot of meaning into that shit. So you combine that with the fact that, again, like we were talking about with this class, there's just not the next tier is so large. There's not a clear person here that you can make fit cases for I think a lot of people, make talent cases for a lot of people. So I change my mind by the hour as to who even I would prefer them to go with. So I don't know. It's just weird not really having a good feel for what's about to happen. Like any player could pop up here and it wouldn't be like terribly surprising.
Well, that's the thing is with Baalke, you had an idea of the kinds of players he liked. You knew he liked long-armed guys. You knew that he, liked players from certain schools. There was a South Carolina connection for whatever reason that we love to go back to that well early and often. There were lots of things that you could kind of bank on for Trent Baalke. You knew that he was going to whiff on wide receivers. You knew he was going to draft a guy with ACL issues. These were the stalwarts of the 49ers draft for, the last 5-7 years. And now we are in uncharted waters here. We've got no idea. We've got an over-communicative GM. You see his video, by the way? His we're ready kind of video.
I saw it go up. I haven't watched it. I was at work and couldn't quite get away with having that audio blare.
Yeah, I watched it, and it seemed I don't know if he was hungover or just had a lack of sleep. I'm gonna go ahead and say lack of sleep.
Out earlier that that he was like awake since 3:30 a.m. that he got, and those are the things. So these are the tweets that scare the shit out of me, and it's like you don't know if he's just kind of like, I'm gonna make fun of myself. I'm a new GM. I don't know what's going on, right? And kind of just play that public face, and then he secretly has a plan. Like that's what you're hoping, right? It's just like that he's actually got it together behind the scenes. But when you make a tweet like, oh man, my new GM buddies were like, hey, you should probably get some rest because it's a marathon. I'm like, I'm up at 3:30. What? This is crazy. And you're just like, oh, dude, you're not doing yourself any favors right now. You're scaring the shit out of me. I don't know what's gonna happen right now.
All he does is he just knows that.
Trade.
Yes.
Oh, we're only moving back one. That's okay. All right.
So the Bears wanted Mitchell. They wanted Mitsubishi.
Fuck yeah. Oh my God, please. Wait, what did Mayock just say about Fournette? Did you catch that?
Mayock said that he thinks that San Francisco let Chicago know that there was an offer on the table, likely from Jacksonville, for Leonard Fournette.
Please take Leonard Fournette. Please, somebody take Leonard Fournette. Take him off the fucking board.
Please do it.
So
trade down.
We don't have
trade down.
Do it. Nightmare. Man, the jacket's about to come off. Are you ready for the jacket to come off? I'm ready for the jacket to come off.
I'm gonna hang on the jacket. I'm a warm weather dude. I like the warm weather. I like being warm. The AC just kicked on. I'm good.
Yeah, I heard. I mean, my AC is on too. I don't think it's really helping a whole lot.
I'm good.
All right. We'll see what the Bears do here. So
Okay, so the Bears need a quarterback. So you think Mitsubishi is in play here? Solomon, I just like saying that.
Yeah, I can
I just
tell.
love it. I love saying. I'm never gonna stop. I'm never ever gonna stop. I love nicknames. I love names, and I love Mitsubishi. Not the car, just the
those
fact
cars.
that
I just think
the
they're
car.
quality
You know,
vehicles.
the Mitsubishi Lancer. It's a decent car. It's a decent car.
It was really cool in that one Fast and the Furious movie.
Was it in a Fast and the Furious movie? I don't even know. Sorry, my AC just cut off.
I just kind of assumed that it had.
I'm gonna hit up my Nest real quick and say like, no, make it colder. All right. So what are the Bears doing here? What's your best guess?
I don't know, man. I mean, the Bears are kind of in a situation like the Niners where they need a lot of things. I mean, quarterback obviously would make sense, and I think you think trading up and giving up some sort of value again, like we talked about a bunch in the pre-draft shows. It's like usually teams aren't willing to give up a bunch. Now this is only one pick, so I don't know how much they had to give it up in order to make that happen.
What's the trade?
Oh, wait, let's see here. We get turned.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
Oh, fuck yeah! Okay.
Whoa!
So we're looking at a third and a fourth this year, 67th overall, 111, and then a third next year. Fuck yeah, for one pick.
For one fucking pick?
Dude. Yes.
Absolutely. I want that GIF. I'm like a live version of that GIF where it's like, Lord, yes.
Let's fucking get it.
Yes. And if you think about it, a third and a fourth this year, that third round pick could easily be a defensive back or an edge rusher that, because of the quality of draft in this class at those two positions, could easily be a second round pick. I mean, this is where the value is, especially because these are high picks this year. Chicago is picking third. They're picking third.
That's right.
I mean, that's a late second.
Right at the top. Yeah, I mean, that's top of the third round. So they're going to be able to pick, back to back, basically. They're at the top of the third. And again, like, so even though this draft is really strong in a couple positions, right? It's strong at edge. It's strong at DB. It's strong at tight end. I think it's deep at running back. Those aren't going to be the only positions that get selected here in the first round, right? We're going to see teams inevitably take players at some of these weaker positions, right? There are going to be some interior defensive linemen go. There's going to be some offensive linemen go. Obviously, we're looking at maybe 3-4 quarterbacks going, early, especially I think by the end of the second round. I mean, we might be at 4 or 5 at that point. And so you're going to see some of these really talented players that are starting caliber players at corner and, at edge slip down a little bit. And I think at tight end is another big one. Like, that was really the hard thing for me when I'm kind of going through it. It's like, all right, we wanted obviously defense early, and I wanted kind of defense into the top 3 rounds really is where I felt that they could get the best value. And now it's like, okay, you got this extra third rounder, and it makes it maybe a lot of sense to go grab one of those top tight ends. You're not going to get Howard or Joku or somebody like that quite yet, but maybe if it's a kid from Iowa, what's his name? Kettle, one of the kid from Iowa.
We talked about the Waldman.
Yeah, or I think one of the receiver types, Kittle. Yeah, George Kittle. You start looking at someone, one of the flex tight ends there. They have an Ingram, the Gerald Everett.
I told you, Mitsubishi. That's why they did it. Right. They wanted a Mitsubishi.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. I'm still slightly terrified because it's Leonard Fournette's not gone.
By the way, Jeremy Sprinkle is the guy from Arkansas.
Well, that's Arkansas. So Iowa is George Kittle. He's also he's more of kind of the well-rounded type, right? He's not a shitty blocker. He's actually been an inline guy. It's kind of, more of us in a style of OJ Howard, but not necessarily like that level of skill. So, and I think that's, kind of more fits into what Shanahan has done. Now, I think he could use, obviously, I think he's good at kind of molding things and, getting playmakers in positions to make those plays. And I think he'd be able to do well with somebody like a Gerald Everett or an Evan Ingram. But I think, Kittle is somebody that should be around in that range and would make sense for his offense because he can be in line and block. You see a lot of back to some of those run heavy personnel sets that we had with Harbaugh there and multiple tight ends on the field. And so you need tight ends that can be up in there and block on those outside zone plays. And I think he fits that mold a little bit more than some of the other guys.
And blocking at the tight end position was really something that didn't quite exist with the 49ers this year. I mean, we had
The tight end position barely existed with the 49ers.
We had several tweets last year where we were just completely dressing down Garrett Selleck because he just was not a very, very good blocker. Oh, everyone in Chicago, it doesn't matter, dude. Everyone in Chicago is going to hate everything you do. There was no pick in Chicago that was going to be good.
We're losing the jacket and get another beer.
All right. Well, point is, blocking at the tight end position for the 49ers was not good at all last year. Garrett Selleck was one of the worst blockers in the NFL last year at the tight end position. You had Blake Bell, who was still young, still developing. I still have high hopes for him, but it's definitely something where you're not sure what he's going to pan out to be. You've got Vance McDonald, who cannot catch a pass to save his life and was just a mediocre blocker, but the best blocker of the bunch, but mediocre nonetheless. And now, you do need a tight end that can actually go in and block and be a bit more well-rounded and be maybe kind of that dual threat. And so Jeremy Sprinkle is going to be more of the move tight end. I think Pro Football Focus has his comp as Julius Thomas, whereas the Kittle, which I'm going to think of that as Kettle, like kettle chips, George Kittle chips.
Chris Cooley is the comp that we have for George Kittle.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
there you go.
Which, hey, I mean, I think he's you'd love to get a Chris Cooley type. He's a good player for a long time. And again, it's being able to line up in multiple spots, being able to play in line, even move him, kind of like in an H-back role or something like that. So I think you've got some options with him. He's a little bit more versatile when it comes run pass, right? As opposed to just being kind of a dynamic pass threat.
Let's think about this for a minute, because let's say the Niners pick here. They've got 5 minutes left. The Niners are still going to get one of the guys they wanted because there's no need to get the quarterback right now. And they got a second. Oh, no, they got a third, a fourth, and a third.
And a future third. Yeah. So 2018 third.
They got 3 more players to get the guy they were probably going to get anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
that's magic. That's fucking magic.
So the only thing I can think of that as to why you get that sort of haul, right, is there was competition for that trade. And so
not only competition, or the Niners played enough of the smokescreen to say we're going to pick them.
A belief of competition on the Bears' part, right?
Exactly.
So,
because if I'm the Niners, I'm going to say, you know what, we're going to pick Mitchell. We're going to pick Mitsubishi, and if we're not going to pick them, then you've got to make it so that we are okay with not picking them, and that means some more compensation.
If we forget call to action, just Mitsubishi. Assume that it's Mitsubishi.
That's right. I'm sorry. One more time. Say that again.
Huh?
Say
Mitsubishi.
Oh, I thought you were saying Mitsubishi. I was like, it's not. There's not an E in there, bro.
It might have slipped out the first time. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Oh my god.
Get Kurt on my screen.
All right, so we've got 3 minutes left. 3:55. I don't know if that's Kurt Warner or his wife. The beer goggles might be kicking in. Brenda, man.
Yeah.
Brenda.
Shots fired.
Yeah, you know what? Brenda, she was a peach back when she had the same haircut as her husband. It's true. It's true. Not gonna lie. All right, it's my turn to get a beer. What do I do? All right, you get the pick. Cider or summer ale?
What are you just coming off of? What's the most?
I'm going off a Shiner Light right now.
I would go cider. I'm missing some Austin East ciders right now. All right, so I think the thing also too that's been a little confusing for me in terms of fit is so if they look at one of the safeties, right? I think a lot of people are wanting them to go with either a Hooker or Jamal Adams, or I think some of the more popular picks at this point. And while I get the idea, like the love for Jamal Adams, like he seems like a great player. I think he's very versatile and he can do a lot of different things for your defense. When it comes to pure fit for the defense of the 49ers is going to be.
We're picking. We didn't trade back again.
We didn't trade.
All right,
we're talking about safeties right now. So while we're filling time where you're getting a beer, talking about the difference kind of between Jamal Adams and Malik Hooker.
We in here talking about safeties.
Hey, yes, yeah, pick is in. Okay, so we're not even waiting anymore. All right, let's put that aside and see what actually.
Well, I mean, I think the takeaway is that Adams is might be a better overall player, but Hooker fits the defense a bit more, and so that's kind of the I guess that's the calculus, right? It's like maybe Adams is going to be a better in the box safety. You see him comped, or you see him compared to like Cover One Rovers, which are the underneath in the box safeties. Eric Reed isn't too bad at doing that, but is Jamal Adams that much better than he is? It just seems weird with Malik Hooker still on the board, being able to go and get someone who makes your cover 3 go.
Yeah, I think if you were, it's tough when you're building, when you're building these big boards from a media perspective, and you're going out there, you're trying to look at kind of the talent and what they can do for your team in a vacuum, and it's really your personal preference as to what skills you feel are more valuable, right? So I think when you look at those two in a vacuum, maybe Jamal Adams can do more things well than Malik Hooker can. But if you're constructing a board for the 49ers specifically, right, a more team specific thing, then I think Hooker has to be higher on that board, because the value that you get for a very good free safety is much higher than for a very good.
Here we go.
Oh, fuck. I'm so nervous.
Ah, there it is.
Thomas. All right.
All right.
I can live with that.
We can live with that too. I can live with that too. You know what? It's and here's what you might be thinking to yourself. I can live with that is not exactly what you want out of the 3rd pick overall. But we said before, you want some combination of edge and defensive back. And at this high in the 1st round, you want someone with production and you want someone with athleticism. You look at, I think Justice Mosqueda does a really, really good force players segment where he talks about kind of projecting what a player will do at the edge spot. And he talks a lot about athleticism. And Solomon Thomas has athleticism in spades. When you look at his SPARQ scores, he is top 10 in SPARQ scores for his position and for this class. The dude is an athletic freak. He is a heady individual, meaning he's intelligent. He's got a high football IQ. I think it was Ian Wharton. It was Dane Brugler who talked about his high football IQ in his scouting report for Solomon Thomas. And this is on some people's boards the number 2 overall edge player. There's some debate there, but the point is this guy has a mix of football smarts. This guy has a mix of athleticism, and he fits a position of need for the 49ers. And so who gives a flying fuck if it's the defensive lineman 3 years in a row?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that part of it, the defensive lineman 3 years in a row, matters at all. I mean, you're really dealing with a clean slate here. We've talked about the amount of turnover they've already done. I think even more. I mean, I wanted a massive roster turnover once this kind of new regime took over, and I think I expected it to take even longer than it's had. I mean, they've gotten rid of a lot of players. They didn't re-sign anybody, which was what we were looking for, and you get in a lot of new people. So I think what the roster was, that they inherited shouldn't really impact at all what they're selecting now, right? If they think that Solomon Thomas is the best player that's available, and I think there's a case to be made that, again, from a talent perspective, you mentioned the combination of kind of this top end production and also top end athleticism. And I think that's very important at the top of the draft. And so I think when you combine that, or when you look at that, you don't really worry too much about the fact that you have Buckner and Armstead already on the roster. I mean, I think you want good football players and you figure out how to make it work. And again, I think in a sub package situation, which you're going to be in most of the time, a lot of these arguments about, who plays where really doesn't make that big of a difference. I mean, you're going to get those 3 guys there. Ideally, I think you'd want to, at some point pair another edge guy with those 3, right? Somebody that's a little bit more of a pure speed, that's going to turn the corner, get after the passer that way. I think would be a kind of a good fit with that group. But I mean, you have those 3 going after the quarterback, and that's what you're really looking for there. So
it was Robert Mays, I think, who did a really good article on Solomon Thomas and did the write-up and put a comparison on Solomon Thomas compared him to Michael Bennett. I mean, Michael Bennett is another athletic kind of in between tweener guy who, I mean, they both weigh about 273, 275. And when you look at the knock on Solomon Thomas, you think, okay, he's kind of a tweener, right? This is what Ian Wharton says in his breakdown, in his scouting report. He says he's a tweener, and he doesn't really have a true position. He has him, kind of second edge overall, but that doesn't matter in the 4-3 scheme. Size doesn't matter. It's not as big of a deal as it would traditionally. And so when you look at someone like Solomon Thomas, you're not looking for someone who fits a certain size, weight kind of area. You're looking at someone who is athletic and who has the football IQ to be able to rush the passer, but also be able to protect, in the run game as much as they possibly can. And that pretty much sizes up Solomon Thomas to a T. This is someone who, when you look at his mock draftable web, pretty much hits all of the explosive metrics that you want. I mean, the guy's in the 88th percentile in the 3-cone drill, 94th percentile in the broad jump. That's one of the explosive measures that you want for someone at his position. His 40-yard dash, he's in the 83rd percentile. I mean, the dude is a flat-out athlete. That's the kind of guy you want. His
spark is 94th percent, right? So when you look at kind of that holistic view of athleticism, we really love to go to Spark for that, to kind of put the pieces together and be able to provide context, because weight is really important there, right? So obviously at 273, you look at it once you adjust for that weight. I think a good comparison is Hassan Reddick, who's right there, just barely above him in terms of spark. So you get 94.8 with Hassan Reddick, 94.3 with Solomon Thomas, but there's a 40-pound difference there between those guys. So
correct.
The raw numbers for Hassan Reddick are obviously going to be much better. But once you factor in, the weight there and that he's playing with all of that extra stuff, I think it's still equally impressive. And then, as far as the position thing too, we talked about this a little bit with Jordan. 270 would be the lightest D tackle in the league by a significant margin, right? People like to go to Aaron Donald as your go-to example of an undersized D tackle, and he's still got 10, 15 pounds on somebody like Solomon Thomas. I think he does fit a more, I don't know, maybe not prototypical, but I think he definitely falls in kind of, the middle of your bell curve for 4-3 D end, right? That's about the size that you're looking for. Maybe you'd like somebody, just slightly taller, just slightly longer arms or something like that if you're kind of constructing that guy. But I think his profile there fits fine. I think what happens is people have a tough time projecting what they see in college. I think a lot of people assume that what they did in college, this is what they are. And you're kind of looking at them as finished products. I mean, Solomon Thomas is also one of the youngest guys. Him and Myles Garrett. That was really another enticing thing with both of them, is they're both young. They're not even 22 years old yet.
He's a redshirt sophomore.
It's so I don't know that you can look at his Stanford tape, and we're going to obviously get into that. That's kind of the whole reason that we're here. But I don't know if you can look at that and say, okay, this is only what he can do there. And I think it's tough. It's not an easy thing to say, okay, he was only a 3-4 defensive end and he played mostly between the tackles when he was in college, and be able to say, okay, yeah, I feel confident translating him more out on the edge. But I think when you look at some of the movement skills, which, hopefully we find some good examples in one of the games that we're going to watch here, you can kind of look at the movement patterns that he has in other plays and be able to translate to the movement that you're expecting from an edge player. And again, once you factor in, we know that he has the athleticism to do it, right? We know based on kind of how he was able to test out that part is there. It's just a matter of getting the technique down and kind of learning to play in a little bit more space as opposed to in between the tackle box. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a solid pick. And we get
Leonard Fournette to the Jaguars.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Fournette to the Jaguars. You know what? Like, I mean, I think Leonard Fournette is a good player for the right scheme. And as long as they scheme for him, I mean, they still got Blake Bortles back there.
Zeke Elliott ruined this for everybody. Like, NFL teams were finally starting to get smart about not taking running backs in the first round, or at least taking them high in the first round, right? And then you get Zeke Elliott, who is admittedly a very good player, but goes to the absolute perfect situation. Couldn't have been a better situation in the league, and obviously tears things up last year. And then you get, you hit on Dak, and all of a sudden that offense is going. I think it's made some of these teams believe again that they can take a running back high and have.
I think Jordan Howard is more the model for running backs than Ezekiel Elliott, right? Jordan Howard was like a 4th round pick or whatever he was for the Bears.
He was like a
3rd or 4th round pick, somewhere in there, and he was right there with Ezekiel Elliott with a lesser supporting cast. But that's I think a little, well, whatever. Let's get back to Solomon Thomas, because There was an article I read, I think this morning or yesterday, talking about how information about your draft pick is important. And I don't mean information like scouting information. I mean information from the coaches, the staff, the things that scouts have to do to figure out whether a draft pick has, whether he's nice to people, whether he's good to waiters and waitresses, all the character bullshit that you hear. And oftentimes there's a reason we talked about Trent Baalke having a connection with South Carolina. There was a coach or a person or something that the scouting team had that was a resource there at South Carolina, I'm sure. You talk about Rutgers and New England. And of course, Bill Belichick is friends with Schiano, and he's got people in that organization. They can get deeper, true, off the record, how do you feel about this player kinds of things. I think this might have something to do with why someone like a John Lynch, who's a Stanford alum, is okay with drafting someone from Stanford, because he's probably got really true, honest to God sources, and he can ask the David Shaws of the world, and he can ask those coaches, hey, give me the lowdown. Like what's really going on with this player? What do you really think? Don't give me you have to pump this player up bullshit because, you want to get more players drafted from your program. Give me like the dirt. Give me what's really going on. And I think I can only imagine that the scouting report on him by and large is, yeah, he's a good dude. He plays good. He plays hard. He's a high effort guy, and he's really, really smart. And that makes him feel better about picking, someone like a Solomon Thomas. So I would think in the future, you're going to have more of maybe perhaps that Stanford connection and draft picks, and maybe more Pac-10 connections for the 49ers, which I think makes a bit of sense. I would hope.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line there, right? Like obviously, when you're talking about a process like the draft and all of the uncertainty involved in that, any area that you can kind of try to eliminate some of that uncertainty is obviously a bonus, and try to get a more solid picture as to the type of player that you're getting. That certainly needs to be looked at as a positive. I think you want to not necessarily lean on those type of connections too much. I think you want to make sure that you're properly evaluating everybody. And it's not that I think that they won't do that, right, or that they're not doing that or anything like that. I just think there is a balance there between kind of relying on that what I think a good example of that, right, is Pete Carroll with the Earl Thomas selection, right? Everybody thought that he was going to take Taylor Mays there because that was, obviously he coached that guy. Like he was his coach at USC, and then he goes and selects an Earl Thomas, obviously in a completely different conference. And obviously that's worked out very well. So I think you certainly want to take advantage of having some of those connections and the familiarity that can go with having a school like that has talented players that's really close by. But there's definitely a balance there that you want to figure out.
All right, so which game of Solomon Thomas are we going to break down here? When you go to draft breakdown, they've got a good bunch of games.
I think we want to go with what we would expect to be a mostly positive viewing for this first one, right? I think
Pac-10 championship.
I think I'm kind of leaning towards the bowl game, right, against North Carolina. That was really his biggest game. Had a lot of production there. He had 6 quarterback pressures, 1 sack, 5 hurries. So I think we get a good opportunity to see him get after the passer there. Graded out really well against the run in that game for PFF. One of his highest graded run defense games of the year. So I think that's, certainly a good candidate. I think maybe the Notre Dame game too would be, looks like a one that would be pretty solid. Again, good production there. 2 sacks, 2 hits, 1 hurry. When we're looking at pass rush, another very high run defense grade. So I think those, do we have Notre Dame available?
Yeah, we do. I'm looking at it right now. We do have
no Notre Dame. Okay, so
no, we've got the North Carolina game,
the
Washington game. But yeah, so I think let's start with North Carolina, especially because it goes up against Mitsubishi, and I just want to keep saying Mitsubishi.
God damn it.
I know you're not going to get away from it. Interestingly enough, I was looking at his scouting report from Pro Football Focus, and even though the weak side, the Leo, is not usually necessarily going to be someone that you count on for run support, he had the #1 run defense grade in the nation based on Pro Football Focus's charting, which is pretty fucking awesome, because he is someone who you project at Leo, you project on the weak side, the open side of the field, and yet he's still someone that you don't have to worry about when it comes to stopping the run, and I think that's pretty phenomenal.
I mean, this is one of the things that kept, anytime that I would start to get, a little more hesitant about Solomon Thomas and kind of, again, question whether he was really able to make that transition. And then I would talk to somebody that
Corey
I
Davis, by the way,
are very
Tennessee.
good. Corey Davis, where? Oh,
Tennessee. They
oh,
got their
didn't
wide
trade
receiver.
out of 5, huh?
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about them trading out of 5.
No, they need a wide receiver, and I wish they would have
Hell
traded
yeah,
out.
good for Marcus Mariota, man. I'm rooting for that
He
guy. I
needs a
want
wide
him to do
receiver.
well.
I know. I am too. I really am. I think Tennessee, if they play this draft right, Tennessee is going to be the come out of nowhere.
So many picks.
They have a ton of picks, and I think they're. Yeah, I mean they need a wide receiver help bad. They really do.
That's
but
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you were saying Mitsubishi.
What was I saying?
I don't know. Let's fucking roll the tape. Let's bring up Solomon Thomas. We'll break in every now
we're-
and again with
yeah,
what's happening.
we're getting so that's what I was talking about. So when talking about transition to edge, right, and whether you feel comfortable with that, anytime that I would start to kind of get a little hesitant and question whether or not that he was really capable of doing something like that, I talked to somebody that I think is really, really good when it comes to defensive line stuff. I talked to our guy for Verts, Charles McDonald, who basically was like, without hesitation, when I asked him what's his NFL position, where are you putting him on your D line, and it's weak side defensive end. That was immediately his response. And again, I think he knows D line play about as well as anybody out there on the internet. So I think that was good. Dan Hatman also, when he was talking about where he would play, and that's kind of been Dan's position. Obviously, he was when we did the interviews, we learned that he was a scout in the league for several years with several teams, but he also had the opportunity to coach D-line play once he was kind of done being a scout there. So that's kind of his go-to position. Said the same thing. Weak side defensive end is kind of where he wants Solomon Thomas and his defense. So I think again, the traits are there, and there is a transition. He's going to have to learn how to play on the edge, how to play in a little bit more space, because it wasn't something that he really had to do a ton at Stanford. But I think the traits are there to be optimistic about him making that transition. Whoa, let's nix that audio. Nix that audio. So we want to talk a little bit before we even get into the tape specifically about kind of what we're looking at D-line wise, like what we're looking at from a trait standpoint, or we just kind of want to do that as we go.
Well, do you have the Scouting Academy kind of positional stuff for D-line? Because
got it up here. Come on.
All right. Well, we'll break it down for us. So hit us up with what. Okay. So for those that are unaware, Scouting Academy is an academy that we have been both going through, David at a much quicker pace than I have. But nevertheless, you've got basically, anywhere from 8 to 10 or 12 traits that you're looking for at any position. And at the defensive line position, you've got your kind of 5 core traits, which you want to see in any player. But you've also got traits that are specific to the position, which are going to be really the valuable ones. And so when you're looking at core traits overall, you're looking at traits like athletic ability, play speed, mental processing, competitive toughness, play strength. Those are going to be the core traits that you want to see across every single player that you evaluate. Athletic ability is pretty obvious. Play speed is really is kind of a combination of mental processing and athletic ability. Competitive toughness is exactly that. It's going to be, whether or not you finish blocks, whether or not you are competitive and win one-on-one battles, whether or not you have, kind of that supposed dog in you, which is a phrase I hate, but I get the
somebody said that. I forget which player it was, but when they had that red carpet bullshit going on before the draft, the players was like, he was talking about another tackle. He was talking about, I think it was Cam Robinson. Yeah, he was talking about kind of, who he likes to pattern his game after, if there's anybody you watch, and it was Trent Williams for him, and he's like, he's got that dog in him, and I just started laughing, and it's great. Whatever.
I hate it, but whatever. It exists. It's there. I get it. And then you got play strength, which is, does the player kind of physically win in one-on-one situations? Does he play with proper leverage? Can he move people? It's a little bit different than competitive toughness in that, competitive toughness is a little bit why people were knocking Myles Garrett. He doesn't play every snap. He takes some plays off, which I think, David, both you and I think that's bullshit, but it exists. It's out there.
I think the difference there that you're really looking to highlight is competitive toughness is really more the willingness to engage, right? Like, are they aggressive? Are they, especially for a D lineman, right? Are they aggressive in attacking the blocker and kind of carrying out their assignment? The play strength is like how well they actually execute that. Once they've engaged, can they actually control that blocker physically and kind of win that battle? So I think that's kind of the distinction there.
So roll the Solomon Thomas tape, but there's interestingly enough, so draft picks, we're thinking drafting more people. I just got David at Kuth DC sent me a what I can only imagine is an auto-corrected tweet that talks about getting more draft capital to trade potentially for Kirk Cousins, which I think is
Oh, shoot me in the face, dude. Why do you got to say those things? We're having a good moment here. Everything's positive. We didn't
roll
take
the
Leonard
tape. Roll the
Fournette. We didn't
tape. Roll the
screw this
tape.
up.
Roll it. Roll the
Really?
tape.
Okay, so we're gonna get it up here while I'm getting the screen sharing going on. So some of the defense specific stuff that you're really looking at, or the defensive line specific stuff, especially for an edge player, right? So I think one of the things that we're going to focus on first is you're talking like that upfield burst, right? It's really, what does a player do in the first 3 steps after the ball is snapped, right? So how much can he, when you're talking about rushing the passer, how much ground can he cover on the edge in the first 3 steps and kind of stress that offensive lineman? In the run game, it's, can he take control of the lineman and kind of create a new line of scrimmage? Can he, jar him back? What is he doing with that burst off the ball is what you want to see there. And then you want to see how he uses his hands, right? Which is kind of different things. And we'll get into some, I think, the specifics there as we really get into the tape and some of the play examples. Hopefully get some good ones. But using your hands effectively is important, in both phases for sure. And I think you have, these are kind of umbrella terms, with some of these traits that we're looking at there, but pass rush and versus the run, right? Pass rush, it's not only can they just win, can they get after the quarterback, right? Can they pressure the quarterback? But you want to see a plan there, and I'll talk a little bit more about that again once we get to some of the examples. But you need to have a pass rush plan. You need to kind of have an idea of, well, if the tackle or if the offensive lineman does this, this is what how I'm going to counter that effectively. And then, against the run, what type of can he take on double teams? This was one of the things that I'm a little worried about. I don't know if we'll get a good example here, but Charles, this was a big reason why he wanted him on the weak side as your D end, is because it says that he just kind of get washed out by double teams and can really get kind of moved off the ball in those situations. So that's something to be concerned with, in his ability to play on the interior when you're in your base stuff. And then, pursuit, which is kind of like a, very similar competitive toughness thing. It's, it's very much a, quote unquote motor or effort thing. What are they doing to pursue plays from the backside? On screens, are they hustling out there to go get after it? So these are some of the things. And again, we'll get into a little bit more detail as we get rolling here, but some of the things that you're looking for when you're evaluating defensive line play.
So as a recap, we're looking for 5 core traits that every player is going to have: athletic ability, mental processing, competitive toughness, play speed, play strength. And then you've got your position specific items, which are burst off the ball, hand usage, pass rush, their ability to stop the run, and pursuit. Oh, there it is. The Jets, Jamal Adams.
All right.
First safety up the board. All right. Hit me with the old draft breakdown.
Okay. So
Mitsubishi in the backfield. You've got
here,
Solomon Thomas, the giant arrow. Giant arrow is Solomon Thomas.
Well, here's one of your pressures, right? So let's kind of slow it down. Getting some play action here. I mean, that's one. Yeah, I don't know that. And so you'll see with a lot of plays. I mean, let's see. This is a 16-minute video. We're not going to go in depth on every single play, right? There's some things that are going to be more valuable. I think we talked about this. I don't remember all that well from the Mike Williams thing.
You watch Prospecting Volume 1, this gets shitty real quick.
I feel like we mentioned something along the lines of what I've started referring to as like 0 plays, right? Where it's not positive, it's not negative. It's just kind of a normal play that you would expect, from that position. Not everything has a ton of value to be gained from it. So I think there'll be some plays that we move through fairly quickly here just to kind of get through it. Otherwise, we'll be here for 3 hours, talking about this stuff. So,
I mean, we've already been here for close to an hour, so 3 isn't,
But yeah, I think, Kerry, you see just kind of athleticism really sticks out. I mean, being able to, I don't know that's necessarily a great spin move, but obviously
but it's a spin move. I mean, it shows, okay, so if
offensive lineman,
if you're going to say something about this play, you're going to say, okay, he has a move and he's thinking about what he's doing off the snap, because a spin move here, he kind of engages, he sets him up to the inside, and then he spins off. even if it wasn't the best spin move, it still generated a pressure, and it shows that he's thinking about what he's going to do right off the snap, which, you know, is at least something.
The thing that I would that I'm kind of trying to see that you get a little bit blocked is where his eyes at, right? Because again, we're talking about play action here, and so if this was a run play, so he appears to be a B
spins
gap
himself
defender.
out of the hole.
Yeah, he's a B gap defender from the looks of it here. It looks like he's in a three technique. So when that tackle is coming over and trying to reach him, right, by spinning out of that, if that's a run play, that's not what you're looking for, right? That would be kind of bad. So you'd like to be able to see where his eyes are, and if he's able to kind of read that backfield action and see that it was play action. I mean, he's got his back turned actually by the time the ball pulls out there. So
Yeah.
I don't know how great you're feeling about that necessarily from a mental processing standpoint, but obviously the end result works out. He's able to kind of close. You'd like to see him finish that play, obviously. Get a free shot at the quarterback. You want to take advantage of that and get him to the ground. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so three technique.
All right, so let's see where okay, so he gets, oh yeah, he makes, okay.
I mean, he's got his head in there.
Yeah, he might be able to see, but it feels like he starts turning before.
Where the ball is really out of there. So
yeah.
All right. So
here he is again on the edge.
1st and 20. So another thing we want to try to call out, right, in a thing that you're looking for, I think, in all evaluations is you want to keep in context the situation, right? So 1st and 20 here, good opportunity for like a draw or a screen, or obviously, I think a lot of teams are looking to pass in this situation, pick up some of that yardage that they lost on 1st and 10.
You've never met Jim Tomsula.
Okay, so this is, I think, really, really great here to start.
Yeah,
so,
you look at the way he uses his arm. I mean, look at. Okay, so he engages here. Look at the way he presses that freaking offensive lineman.
So the leverage that you're really looking for, and I think good leverage, a good way to look at it is hands above eyes, right? This is something that you hear if you listen to, again, Charles McDonald, Justice Mosqueda, I think are some of the best D-line guys out there. You hear them say that over and over again, hands above eyes. And I think when your hands are above your eyes, that just kind of means the rest of your body is bent at the right spots, right? So that you have leverage on the offensive lineman. And when you have that, this is the result. So you're going to be able to kind of control that guy. I mean, he's pushing him 3 yards in the backfield. Now come off and make the play, right? So how does he finish? Can you see it? He should be looking here. He's one arm in him. He's in position to where he can shed that block.
Yeah.
So
he kind of gets washed out of the play a little bit.
So that's starts great, and you want to see him finish that, right? There's really no reason that he shouldn't be able to come off that block in the position that he's in, that he set himself up in, and make that tackle. So, good and bad. All right, 2nd and 6. Looks like, again, lined up as 3 technique. I think this one we're not going to really spend a lot of time
I mean, he just kind of explodes into the backfield. Looks like it's a down block. Oh, that's a different play.
So this
that's weird.
Yeah, so we're the Trubisky run, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on that one. So moving on to kind of the next play. A good measure, I think, of athleticism for D linemen on field, right? So when you're looking at the tape, because we have some people out there that maybe aren't as fond of percentiles and don't quite believe that. Want to show me what's on the tape, bro. And so here's a good example of athleticism on tape, right? Is how does a defensive lineman handle a cut block? And so you can see right away, shoots those hands out, right? Gets him on the shoulders, drives him straight into the ground, able to come off, get in on the tackle, right? So that's great. You can't see, gets a little out of the picture there, but by all accounts, that's an athletic play there when you can handle that sort of block that way and come off and make a play. All right, 2nd and 10.
So he's fighting off a double team there. He's got, so when you think of hand usage, right? What did you see there from his hands? Because it looked like he was switching left and right hands, right? So he gets engaged. He's got a double team. He kind of turns his shoulders a little bit. You see it there, but he still keeps fighting. He's able to get his shoulders back square. Is there anything there about his hands that you're like, all right, that's all right. That's not great, whatever.
So I think initially, right. So again, we know that Stanford is a 3-4 team. and that they're playing a lot of 4 technique for those. So I mean, it looks like they're in it there, right? So I don't know. Is my cursor, does it show up for you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So you've got your 3-man line here, right? You've got your 2 outside linebackers, this guy here, this guy here. So they look to be in their base 3-4. And it looks like he is at his 4 technique. So head up on it. So when you're playing a 2-gap technique like that, I mean, you're usually looking to shoot your hands right at kind of the top of the numbers, right? Just kind of like at the armpits, essentially. So the placement there looks good, right? So you get it right in to that tackle, knocking backwards. Again, you're kind of the low man. The pad level's pretty solid there. And then once you're in a pass rush, so I think one thing that's easy to do when you're evaluating a defensive lineman as far as pass rush goes is to be like, okay, well, they're not winning a whole lot, right? Like you have to keep in mind that the best pass rushers, even at the NFL level, they're getting pressure on the quarterback about 13-14% of the time. So I think a good mark to hit is about 10%. Anybody hovering around that 10% mark is usually doing a pretty damn good job. So that's 1 in 10, right? And so there are going to be situations like this, like when you get double teamed. I mean, you're not really expecting much out of the guy. Like he's occupying, 2 blockers. He needs like 66 here, right? You need your teammates to come up, take advantage of the one-on-one matchups, and be able to get after the passer. He's not going to be able to do everything himself. So I think, he occupies those guys. He's got his eyes in the backfield. Maybe you're going to try to get up and get your hands up if it's an underneath pass. But there's not a whole lot you're really expecting him to do in that situation.
So 2 things. One, the LA Rams or the LA Chargers or one of the fucking teams in LA. I don't know. They just drafted Mike Williams.
Oh, the Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers.
Man, so we get both Corey Davis and
Mike
Williams in the top 10, in the top 7.
Yeah, which means that more quality players are moving down the draft.
Yeah, again, so these are all players that we didn't, that we weren't going to be in position to select.
Correct.
Effectively. And I don't know that our guys that we're really looking for.
So here's pick 8. Pick 8 is going to be the Christian McCaffrey sweepstakes. You've got Carolina interested to see what they do with Christian McCaffrey, but I want more of these wide receivers. I want John Ross to go in the first round. I want all these players to go in the first round because that just means more bounty in round 2. But we'll get to that in a minute. So before we get to the next play, I'm actually going to go get another beer. David, what's your next drink?
So we're rocking right now. Shiner again. I think I've mentioned a couple times. Every once in a while, the place that I go to pick up beer, they get some Texas beers in there for me. Kind of reminds me of home a little bit. So we're rocking Shiner right now. Ruby Redbird. Starting to get warm outside. Nice, cool beer. We're gonna go on to. I also have a Dogfish Head, kind of a new IPA from them. Something like Blood Orange or Flash Orange.
Yeah, Blood Orange is the thing. I'm drinking a Blood Orange e-ciders. That's apparently the Blood Orange is the thing nowadays.
All right. Well, let's do. I don't know if we can pause this broadcast. We're gonna do a beer run. You're just gonna, I guess, like look at my. No, we're gonna put Solomon Thomas back on there.
So yeah, put Solomon Thomas back up.
Look at my apartment. We're gonna be back in like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna keep going with some Solomon Thomas tape. This is what you get for like a 3-hour viewing. All right, you got to deal with some beer run breaks.
Correct. Oh, man. Carolina got that pick in quick. I don't think David's back yet, but for all you listening, the pick is in. Gates, Williams, Allen, Melvin Gordon. I mean, that's pretty legit. Phillip Rivers is still old, and I feel bad for him, but, it happens. So, Carolina, let's see if they pick the old Christian McCaffrey. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, see, look. They just said what we just said. That's a sign, right?
All right. Let's do this.
All right, Carolina, pick us in.
Okay, let's see what happens here.
Well, I don't know that he's walking up though. I don't know if he's Oh, there he is. I was saying I got that picking quick, dude. Here's I would say post your beer, but I don't know that the folks can see yours. That's mine, real ale or St. Arnold summer ale.
That's a nice looking can you got there.
Yeah.
Still rocking the jacket. I'm impressed.
I told you, man. I love it when it's warm.
Yeah, I was sweating balls.
I hope their brain doesn't turn to mush. Here it comes. Hit me.
Finally.
There it is. Boomtown.
Man.
There it is, man. Christian McCaffrey.
Dude, that, I mean, fuck yeah, like get Cam some weapons. Like the idea of adding him, you know, obviously they had Benjamin there, but they just really haven't had anybody but Greg Olsen there to do anything with offensively and to give Cam some help. So yeah, I mean that's great. Hopefully he can go in there and make them, you know.
I want to see a pop pass, a fake inside run by Cam Newton with a quick pop pass on a Texas route to Christian McCaffrey over the middle of the field. Just go full fucking college. Let's do it. I want it. Give it to me.
All right, let's do this. Okay,
hit me with some more Thomas. All right, so here he is lined up again. He's lined up over the guard, hitting that
three technique. All right, so let's go third and 10 here.
10.
So you know, pass situation.
This is
very
a money
clearly.
spot. This is a money down.
You want to see him get off the ball quickly. See that explosiveness. Oh yeah. So see, we'll slow this down here. So look at right there. See how far ahead he is of everybody else on that line. First one off.
Yeah.
Gaining ground ahead of everybody else on the D line.
So all right. So what's his first move here? So he's getting his hands up.
Let's watch it to finish. Oh yeah. Okay. So
it's so choppy on my end. God damn it.
So basically what you're getting here. So you're looking
under that right
with the guard, right? So it's the guard doesn't seem very interested in blocking him. I mean, you see the guard's eyes are out on the outside there. So he's able to kind of get inside of him pretty easily with a little spin move. And then you get the center that's just off balance and not. It's just not.
He basically one arm shrugs this fool.
I mean, that center's doing a shitty ass job.
Oh God, he falls on his butt. Oh, that's the worst. As an offensive lineman, you generally don't want to be on your ass.
You go get him and you affect the throw. I mean, yeah, obviously every play you'd like to see with, as a sack, but doesn't always work that way. Trubisky makes a nice throw on the outside.
Pressure numbers are important, and pressure numbers don't show up necessarily in terms of sacks, but they do show up in terms of interceptions, incomplete passes, rush passes. These are important. So just getting pressure, disrupting timing, disrupting throws, it's still something you want out of the player that you're having rush the passer.
Disruption is production. That's really what we're looking for there.
So here he is again. It looks like he's still 3 technique.
Yeah, 1st and 10.
So he engages.
Okay. So that may be so here's where you see kind of a little knock on him in that pursuit, right? You'd like to see him, go make that play, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he slows down a bit near the sideline.
And the other thing you have to consider, so one thing that is hard to really keep track of with these draft breakdown videos is how many consecutive plays they're playing, right? So
yeah,
when you get especially in the college game where the pace is so much faster, than it is at the NFL level. Guys aren't like, you can't ask a defensive lineman to play 60, 70, 80 snaps in a game and fucking go balls to the wall every single snap. It's just not
Well,
a realistic
who
thing
was it? I
nowadays.
think that just said that, you know, someone was like, oh, I think it was Warren Sapp, who was like, oh, Myles Garrett, I'd never draft him. He takes plays up, blah, blah, blah. I'm Warren Sapp. Man.
Yeah.
And someone was like, yeah, when you play 100 snaps a game, I don't give a shit. You're going to take some plays off. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett, too, in the Big 12, I mean, every single one of those fucking offenses are running crazy tempo and kind of all this spread stuff.
Oh, I
and,
know.
And putting up, yeah, just absurd play numbers. And so, yeah, you're not going to see, you know, a guy go all out, balls to the wall. And I was actually talking with Dan about this pretty recently. And it's, you know, some teams are encouraging, you know, the extreme is Baylor. The Baylor offense, right?
Yeah.
And having their receivers on plays where they know that they're not getting the ball, just stand there.
Take a
You know,
rest.
not everybody's doing quite that. I don't know that we're going to see that catch on at the NFL level, but there is certainly an element of, you know, when the play is away from you and you don't have an opportunity, you know, to kind of preserve a little thing, you know, a little bit of your energy there. And I think that's something that you're seeing coached more often just because of the advances in sports science and kind of what we know about, you know, players' ability to kind of sustain over that many snaps. All right, so first and
All right,
10.
hit me.
So here's a good example. I mean, you love the effort, right? So it's fighting off chip blocks, fighting off he's obviously having to rush. Coverage seems to be
Yeah,
pretty good
and he's got that
downfield.
pursuit. I mean, he's going after the old Mitsubishi. Would you say he's a Suzuki? Going after a Mitsubishi?
So you get the hand usage there. So you get
Yeah,
a
you got hand fighting.
of being able to chop those offensive linemen
Yeah.
away, get around
Get
him.
the
Looks
outside
like
shoulder.
a little rip move, but then so he's got the offensive lineman beat there, right? So at that
Yeah, then
point,
the running back comes
he's-
up.
yeah, he's getting after old Mitsubishi and getting him a sack. Running back helps out.
I'm going
Chip
to
allows
convert you,
the
David. I'm
offensive
going to
lineman-
convert you.
allows the O-lineman to get back in position, and you know he keeps pushing him back.
But it keeps fighting.
And at this point, yeah, it's just an effort thing. Once you
Yeah.
get that far into the snap, it's just okay. Does he keep working at it? All right, you know, I'm okay with that. That's a good snap to me.
Yeah. So here's his run grade was really good based on Pro Football Focus's charting, right? But when I look at this in slow motion, I see him. Let me look at the gaps really quickly because where does that running back hit?
I mean,
versus
he's a
where he
B
is?
gap player, right?
Yeah, he's a B gap player.
outside the guard.
Yeah,
in
so
the guard
he's in his
tackle.
gap. That's what I wanted to make sure because it's kind of slow and blurry on my end. But yeah, no, he's in his gap, and he turns that guard.
Yeah, so you're just looking. So
Both the guard. Okay, so here's what I think. And again, my football eyes are not trained as well as yours, David. But the fact that the guard and Solomon Thomas are facing in the same direction 2 seconds after the snap, I don't think is good for the guard.
no, so I mean you're right on there. So really, what you're looking for there from Solomon Thomas, right, is as a run defender. Generally, you
No,
want
stop right there. Look at the guard, right
so
there.
there you can see his shoulders parallel roughly to the line of scrimmage, right?
Yeah.
Where he's turned the shoulders of the guard so that he's perpendicular. That's kind of what you're looking for, right? So you kind of have him one armed. So one arm means I have my inside arm in the chest of the blocker, and I'm able to control him with that one arm. And then I have my outside arm free. So I'm able to, if that running back goes into my gap, because of the position that I'm in, I'm able to easily come off that block and make a play. And so that's what you're looking for. So
The
he's got
Bengals
his
just
gap.
picked up John Ross, by the way. It's a run on wide receivers, my friend. It's a
Oh,
run on wide
shit.
receivers.
Love that. Oh my God. AJ Green and John
John
Ross
Ross?
and Tyler Eifert. Like,
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
I mean, Andy Dalton is not great, but you know, when you put those weapons, they've obviously realized that, okay, when we surround him with this excellent supporting cast, we can be all right. Andy Dalton's good enough to do what we need to do when he's surrounded with this kind of all-world talent. So they kind of had a void there after they saw some of their receivers leave in free agency. And man,
Holy
him
shit.
and AJ Green, holy shit.
And Eifert, and you think of the running backs, right? Like when you think of, I'm just thinking of Giovanni Bernard out in a pattern with Eifert and Ross and Green. Good God. If you're the third corner on that team, if you're an outside linebacker, you're shaking a little bit. You're like, oh fuck.
Good luck, man. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
exactly.
At least you went.
Oh,
to the
trade.
AFC.
Chiefs. The Chiefs traded up. Oh God, I hope they don't pick a quarterback.
I was gonna say if they take a quarterback.
I'm sorry, Alex Smith. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You deserve better. You're a better human than that.
Maybe a better human. Yeah, you might be right there.
Yeah,
I
he's a better human. He is. He's a pretty good dude, despite the trash can picture that is floating around the internet of him when he was in college. You know what? We've all done terrible things in college. We're all doing terrible things right now, actually. All right, let me with the next play.
So that play, yeah. So we're good with that. Run goes away. I mean, he's in his gap. He's doing what he needs to do, and I think that's the baseline, right? You're not always, especially as a defensive lineman in this sort of scheme, really going to be able to make necessarily a lot of plays in the run game, and it's not about doing that every time. It's about run defense is about doing your responsibility and kind of this team aspect of it, right? You need to be in your position, trust your defenders around you to kind of be where they need to be.
So he's pretty much playing exclusively at 3 technique in this game. I mean, there he is at 3 technique again.
He looks a little bit more head up over the guard or over the tackle.
I don't know.
You have to trust me on this one. I watched a lot of broadcast tape and had to determine where positions are for defensive linemen. So I've gotten pretty good. The broadcast view fucks with your head a lot.
It really does.
But I think where you can kind of see. So the reason I say this. So again, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
So outside foot of the guard here.
Yeah.
Inside hand, excuse me, of Solomon Thomas, clearly outside of that. So he's either in the gap, like just sitting in the middle of the gap, or he's kind of inside shade on the tackle. He looks a little bit more on the tackle to me. But let's go. So 1st and 10. Mitsubishi got parked in the garage.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Okay, so yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, yeah, he's pretty much over the tackle.
Bit. Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, and he engages the tackle.
So yeah, good. I mean, good hands. You're right. The placement again. So
yeah, so hands over eyes.
And the placement really depends on what type of technique, and that's how you can kind of a lot of times tell, because it can be difficult a little bit, to tell whether they're doing 1 gap, 2 gap. You're really looking for alignment. A lot of times, guys that are going to be 2 gap or head up on your offensive lineman, and then hand placement, right, is going to be again more to the armpits when you're looking at 2 gap stuff, whereas a lot of your 1 gap defenders are going to be trained to, attack half a man is kind of the term that you see. Like you want to rush half a man, attack half a man in the run game, where you're getting kind of your inside hand in the chest of the defender or the chest of the blocker, excuse me, and kind of your outside hand on the shoulder. So you can just, your full body is better than his half body is the thinking. So
again, what I see there is I see his right arm hitting right in the armpit kind of chest area, and he extends that arm. I mean, he bench presses, and you see, I mean, it looks like he's almost choking the dude. You see the guy just take a huge step back. Look at it. Look at the tackle's right leg.
Yeah.
And he is completely off balance, and he's got to come back and readjust. And Thomas then, kind of comes back to the inside, but it's too late. He's already getting parked in the garage, as you would say.
All right, where are we at? So
Mitsubishi gets parked in the garage. I love that. Yeah, that's
again. So cut block. This is again athleticism. You want to see it on tape. Here you go. So defending that cut block ain't no thing. Coming up, go get that ball carrier. Right. This is, I mean, that's what this play is all about to me is the athleticism.
Yeah. So what's funny is I did a scouting academy report on, or not a report, but just kind of a tape viewing of Bobby Wagner. And it kind of is like an example of linebackers and how they do well. And one of the things that I thought was really amazing was when anyone would ever try and go at Bobby Wagner's legs, it was just why bother? Because it was super easy for him to just put his hands on you, gently get you down to the ground, and just it almost didn't affect him. And that's when you talk about athleticism showing up on tape, that's the kind of thing you're looking for when a defensive lineman begins to, when someone goes after his legs, how can they keep balance, stay on their feet? Aldon Smith did this a lot. where someone would try and cut block him, and he was like, "Nope, I'm cool. I got to walk a straight line when I'm drunk, so I can do this." And
Oh man. All right.
hey, man, we're
We are in it.
5-6 in now. Yeah, it's gonna start getting real.
We're not about to throw up yet, but
No,
We're
I can tell
giving it
just
the
in your
old
voice.
college
You're
try.
not close. You're not close.
no, we're not about to throw up right now. But we're doing good. We're feeling good. Yeah, let's just watch this again. That's nice. All right. We're gonna get a replay.
Is 90 available? Because 90 was Dorsey, right?
Yes, I think so. I don't know after. I mean, there was such a massive like number reshuffling.
Yeah.
I can't.
Hold
remember
on.
off
Let
the
me
top of
guess
my
where he's lined up. He's lined up on the tackle.
So here he's on the edge, right? So again, you really want to look at hands and feet when you're looking at placement. So you get to see the right foot of the right tackle there, the outside foot, and his inside arm is kind of clearly outside of that. So this is what we're looking for out of him. Hopefully, I mean this is third.
So
and
this
15.
is third
should
and
hopefully
15,
be a good play.
3-3-5.
Yeah, for us to see kind of his ability to be out there on the edge. So we'll run.
We're
it
only
once.
an hour and 20 minutes in, folks.
Hey, I mean, he's gonna do a little bit of everything, right? That's the nice thing about having three guys like this is, the versatility there, and I'm sure he's gonna be inside still in sub packages. So we want to see him do.
Hold
a little
on,
bit
don't
of
hit
everything.
play yet. The chefs are picking. Great googly moogly.
I'm amazed we still have 100 viewers. This is way.
Oh my God, they picked a quarterback.
Mahomes. Oh my God, they took Mahomes. Fuck yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my God, Alex Smith is so
Alex Smith, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Oh man. Oh
Hey,
God.
I mean, Alex Smith, he's he'll get you there, I guess, but
I guess
he's not fucking taking you home, so might as well give it a shot.
Okay, here Alex Smith is elite. He is the elite bridge quarterback. That's Alex Smith. He is your elite bridge quarterback.
You feel bad for the guy, but I mean, that's a great situation for Mahomes. Again, we talked about with the quarterback class, like they really need to come in and sit. He's going to be able to not have to play right away. He has some weapons, that you have there in Kansas City, and then you have a good coach, right? You have a coach that's had success kind of developing some quarterbacks, good offensive mind. So, yeah, that's interesting. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Fucking Alex
Okay,
Smith,
so
man.
here's something interesting before we get to this next Solomon Thomas snap. 7 offensive picks in the first.
This is fucking
10.
great for us. This is so great
because this draft is loaded at defense.
Yeah.
It's loaded at cornerback and edge, and it's run on offense.
Have we had even a single cornerback go? I think is Jamal Adams the only defensive back so far?
Yes, that's correct.
I mean,
as far as I can remember, and I mean, you should trust that, but still.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm not going to look it up right now either. We'll look at that later. But
also, Deshaun Watson. Okay, so I read an interesting tweet last week, or not even last week. I think it was earlier this week that compared Deshaun Watson to Teddy Bridgewater, not in terms of style or ability or even color, but just in the fact that the storyline going into the draft up until about a month beforehand was, this is the consensus best quarterback in the draft. And then, for whatever reason, things happen, and it's like, oh, I don't know. He didn't wear fucking gloves at his pro day or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he slips. And when all is said and done, Bridgewater is the best fucking quarterback in that draft class. And people are saying that that's what's going to happen here again with this draft class is Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback, and he's going to fall. And he's going to go to someone, and then in 5 years, we're going to say, yeah, he's probably the best quarterback of that draft class.
Yeah, I mean, I like Deshaun. I haven't had a chance to really study these quarterbacks, so I don't have strong opinions on any of them, kind of beyond what we've talked about on the pod with Steve and, kind of thoughts on the class as a whole. But yeah, I don't know. It was Deshaun Watson was the guy. I mean, this is why it is, you never bank on the next year's quarterback class being great because, you get another, and this is why it was always hesitant with Trubisky, right? Is because we only had the one hype year, right? He had 13 career
Yeah.
starts and we didn't get the chance for him to have kind of what Deshaun Watson had, right? Where it was still a very good season, but maybe not as good as the 2015 that he had. And he had a little bit more opportunity to kind of pick apart some things and get a better understanding of what he does well and what he doesn't. And it looks like he's going to fall a little bit here, but yeah, I don't know. At least right now with I'm excited for Mahomes because Mahomes seemed to be the one that was kind of has a lot of talent, a lot of physical ability, and you seems like a really fun player to watch. And so the opportunity for him to be able to go somewhere where he could sit and develop a little bit, I think could be hopefully fun for him.
Yeah. All right. Hit me with this next snap.
All right. So we're finally on the edge again. Third and 15. Getting to see him outside the tackle here. So let's see what he does. We're going to roll at full speed.
On the edge. You got to hit me in like
course, he's
super
on a
slow
stunt.
motion.
Yeah.
Like,
So we're
I
trying
saw
to
like
see
2 frames.
Okay, so we're not unfortunately going to get a whole lot here. So the other thing you got to watch for on 3rd and 15, right, is screen and draw, and that's kind of what we see here.
Yeah,
We see some good recognition, right? So you want to see him. So it looks like they have a stunt going on where he's trying to loop inside, let the tackle go outside.
yeah, but okay, so stop right there. So he sees, okay, yeah, no, that's good recognition because he sees right there. You see his arm kind of like loop back and be like, oh, got to go the other way, right there. That's where he recognizes it. He's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, so you come around, get your eyes on the quarterback, find the ball.
Yep. He sees the
All right,
blocker. He
up
reads
here.
the tackle. It's a little later maybe than I would have liked, but it's definitely not bad at all.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm not.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Everything's fine. It's fine. His angle looks pretty good, though. I mean, he ends up on, oh, here we go.
Yeah, we're gonna see it again. Hopefully, a little bit better.
Pretty good get off. There's a stunt. He sees the guy. Oh, you know what's funny is run that back one more time. When he goes to make the stunt, so there he plants his leg. He comes around. Once he sees 52, he's like, oh shit, got to go the other way. He actually didn't look at the quarterback. It was actually the offensive lineman that tipped him off to the screen.
Yeah, I mean, he recognized that pretty quickly again.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome.
So, goes, gets out in front of the guy, doesn't end up making the tackle, but doesn't need to. Yeah, we're good. All right, so 3rd and 8. So again, expecting pass. We're expecting a good get off here. Inside the tackle, more 3 technique here. Let's see what he does. All right, so slow it down. So look,
Yeah,
he's
slow
going
it
to take
down.
an outside.
So he hits that outside shoulder. He's got that
Little
inside
rip.
arm. Oh, that's a good rip move. Let me see that. Oh, that's pretty. He overrun. No, he doesn't even overrun. He runs to that spot. The quarterback steps up a little bit. Mitsubishi does okay. But what I like to see here is his get off. Okay, so run it back one more time. You mentioned something earlier, which was notice how much farther ahead he is than everyone else.
I mean, you can see it right there already.
Yeah, right
His
there.
helmet,
Like there are people that are
ball's
not even moving right now.
out from under the center's ass yet, and
Yeah.
he's up there kind of overlapping the offensive line. So
Exactly, he hits that fucking offensive lineman, and immediately he brings his arm up and under, and he is ripping right away, and he goes right to the quarterback spot.
So what you want to see after the rip, right? So you get your arm under there, and you kind of want to see him you want to see him turn that tackle shoulder so that he can get around the corner.
Yeah,
right?
you want to see him bend.
Come back down. So when it comes to the hand usage that you hear with offensive linemen a lot is you're always looking to kind of attack weak spots on the offensive line where they don't have a lot of power, right? And it's kind of at their joints. You want to attack wrists, elbows, shoulders. That's where you have an opportunity to really kind of turn them and get them off balance a little bit so that you can kind of go do what you need to do there. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's good. He's on, even ground with him there. So, you get right there, and you'd like to see him kind of finish that, get that tackle off balance a little bit, get around the corner. But yeah, I mean, you certainly see again the athleticism, the get off there, the burst. Yeah, I mean, look at that. He's so far ahead reaction time of anybody else on that defense. So that's another thing that is really good for the edge players, right? So kind of on the edge, the way that you win is either with that initial get off to where you have an opportunity to kind of beat the tackle to what's called the set point. So the set point is basically, you imagine like 3-4 yards behind the tackle's outside shoulder. And it's really the point where the tackle is trying to get to and set. And if he can get you, he can beat you to that point, then he can run you past the quarterback. You're not really in danger of beating him around the edge, right? If he can beat you to that spot. And so that's where that get off and that upfield burst right after the snap really comes into play. Is you can beat the tackle to that set point. That's where you have the opportunity to get around him, bend to the edge, and go get the quarterback.
So the Saints just drafted Marshawn Lattimore, by the way.
I mean, that's good. Hey,
that's actually a really good pick.
First quarterback off the board at what, 11?
I was texting a buddy of mine, and I was like, "Hey, don't fuck it up." And he said, "We got this." I texted him back, Deshaun Watson, Clemson, and he got really upset.
Wait, is he a Saints fan?
Yeah, he's a Saints fan. So yeah, no, Lattimore is a fantastic pick. I would have been happy with him at fucking 2. I would have been fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like a lot of players, I think, into maybe even the 20s, you're gonna be like, fuck, that's a really good player. That's
yeah, exactly. All right, let me guess where he's lined up. He's lined up over the tight end. Just kidding. I'm just spouting shit off now at this point.
I mean, there's not even a tight end there, so that would have been impressive.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's a overset line. You got 4 tackles on the right.
All right, 1st and 10. So, probably not expecting quite that same get off. Going to be in a little bit more run first mode here. Oh, kicks down inside.
Shift.
So it looks
Kicks
like more
in,
on
yeah.
the 2 technique.
So yeah, so he kicks in and he's
That's what everybody's doing.
Inside shade of the guard.
It looks to be, I mean, yeah, maybe inside shade, maybe, yeah.
Where's his
so
foot?
Outside foot is really kind of looks to be in line with the hand.
Yeah, in line or
like that's
just
kinda
inside.
splitting,
Yeah,
so-
that makes sense.
Yeah, like a little 2-eye. Let's see what everybody does after the snap. Yeah, so it looks like he's trying to be A gap. So if you look at the linebacker, right? So this guy right here.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it's not always going to be their initial alignment in terms of the gap that they're responsible for. You'll see guys, kind of do some gap exchanges after the snap. And that's why here, based on that initial alignment, right? So when you look at him here, when you get the big arrow on it, be more of a B gap defender, kicks down inside late, looking to control that A gap, where the linebacker here is now coming over to kind of fill his spot in the B gap. Yeah, it's not, I don't know, that's great. You'd like to see him press a little bit more and kind of cut that lane off, but also not awful. Again, he's in his gap. That's the big thing. Your baseline, so I think with run defense, it's important to say, kind of like we were talking about with pressure, right? And your baseline for good pressure rates is about 10%, 1 in 10. Anything above that's excellent. The kind of baseline for a solid defensive lineman and run defense is he in his gap? Is he able to make a play if the runner shows up in his gap? And I think definitely, yes, he's not getting pushed off the ball, right? You see the big blue line. He's right on that at the line of scrimmage. He's in his gap. If the runner was to go to the A gap, he'd be in position to make a tackle. He ends up going away from him. Nothing else to really see there.
All right, hit the next one.
All right, we're gonna skip that one.
Oh, I see. So James just tweeted us. He said the camera is cutting to us cutting to me via voice recognition, and it's tough to watch the film because it cuts from me to the film to me to the film. Well, you know what? I don't know how to fix that.
Let's try that. Here, you talk real quick.
All right, there we go. Oh yeah, that fixed it.
Boom. One button. Sorry, guys. All right, so again, just to go back. Free tech. Again, this is another double teamed, right? So he goes off, you get solid burst there, goes after the tackle. He's got 2 guys on him. All right, try to locate the ball, see if you can get your hands up. And they get a pick.
Mitsubishi with the pick. So run it back one more time. I want to look at his shoulders. So he gets off. He engages.
Yeah.
He's able to disengage, which is good.
Zero play for me.
The knock on him a lot is that he doesn't have the desired length. And why is length important? Length is important because of plays like that. Well, that play was probably going to be good. Length is important because of plays like that, where you can use your frame to keep people off of your body. And if you can keep them off your body, then you're able to manipulate them and you're able to do things that you couldn't do if they were able to control you and get into your body. So that's why length is kind of important. And so you're looking for times where his short arms or his lack of length is a disservice to him and his ability. But thus far, and we're like a third into a 60-minute tape. I haven't seen his length be necessarily a problem.
Yeah. Really quick before I comment on that. Remember how everybody was like, "Oh my God, Cleveland, they got all these picks, they're going to move up." And I was like, no, that doesn't really make a lot of sense because that's not how they roll.
They just traded out.
Just traded out of 12, traded back to 25 with Houston, picked up a first rounder fucking next year.
Holy shit.
Good Lord. They have so many picks in the first 3 rounds next year. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
But again, this is what they do. This makes more sense. This is why the idea that they were going to trade up to number 2 from 12 and give up all of these picks that they've accumulated was just insane.
Please tell me that they picked Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson. It's got to be Deshaun Watson.
Be absolutely has to be a quarterback.
It's got to be Deshaun Watson.
Oh my God, hurry up. Okay. So while we're waiting for that pick to come in, talking about arm length. One, his arm length isn't terrible. He's got 33-inch arms. It's not. Again, is it like prototypical? No, probably not. You think of like a Myles Garrett, it's got like 35-inch arms. And that length can work to his advantage a lot of times for sure. But one of the things, when we mentioned it earlier, that you see with defensive linemen and what you really want to see them do is one arm guys, right? One arm is longer than 2. You get one arm into the chest of the blocker. That's longer than his 2 reaching out, trying to punch you. So, you hear Justice talk about this a lot too, in terms of arm length being a little bit overrated. It's not as big of a deal if you're playing with proper technique. If you're able to one arm guys, keep them off you, because you don't usually want, especially on the edge, right? And if that's where I think that we're kind of projecting him to be a starter at least in base situations. And I think
there it is, Watson.
There we go. Good for him, man. I'm glad Watson didn't get a slide like bottom of the first round, end of the
And honestly, dude, Houston is Houston's the perfect fucking spot for him. He's got Nuck. He's got a player he's used to throwing to. I mean, he's like, this is hopefully O'Brien will make an offense that is more suited to what Watson can do. And if he does, this is a playoff ready team. They have a playoff fucking defense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Texans fan, obviously you got to feel a lot better about the hope of Deshaun Watson coming in there than you did about Brock Osweiler or Tom Savage or whoever else they were going to fucking try to trot out there. So,
all right, run the tape here. He's looking. All right, where are his hands? I'm getting better at this, David. I'm getting better.
What do you got? What do you got for me?
All right. It looks like he's lined up almost 2-eye. I'm looking at his left hand. I'm either going to say.
Yeah, looks like either.
Yes, it looks like head up or 2-eye.
Yeah. All right. 1st and 10. So again, more of a rundown.
He's got get off. Double team again.
So that's kind of his
move
to be his go-to. Yeah, early on here.
Yeah.
He's getting attention everywhere, right? So that makes it tough.
So he beats this guy right here. I mean, he's if you're even, I think oftentimes with defensive linemen, the same adage that happens with wide receivers is true. Is if you're even, you're leaving. If you're shoulder to shoulder with the offensive lineman who's trying to block you, it's generally not good for the offense.
I mean, he's on him there, right? Like he's
no. Well, look at the guards. Look at the guard's face mask right now. His face mask is behind his helmet. He's beat.
Yeah, I mean, he's got him there. He's in position, and then of course, again, just like we talked about before, the back comes over. That's not his fault, you know. That's a good play from him.
Yeah, and then Mitsubishi gets it out, and that's a good play by Mitsubishi right there.
Every time you fucking.
Every time, you know what? Mitsubishi is a fantastic fucking nickname. You know what? It is.
Oh man.
Mitsubishi till I die. There's a comedian who did a really good bit about how motorcycles sound like their names, and he talks about Suzuki's sounding like Suzuki, and it's actually a really fucking funny bit.
Oh man,
that's what I think about when I think Mitsubishi. All right, where's Solomon Thomas? It looks like he
Let's
is.
get the big arrow again.
No, he's back.
He's a 3 tech.
Yeah, he's a 3.
All right, what we got? So we got to run. Okay.
Yeah. So what's he do? All right. So he engages. He comes up under. Stretches out. God, look at the.
I mean, you
so
see the strength there, right? So you see, one arm.
One arm. Okay. So one of the things I learned from watching, when Dan talked to us about watching the defensive back a little bit more than you watch the wide receiver to figure out how well the wide receiver is doing things. That's kind of what I look at here. I look at the lineman to see how well the defensive lineman is doing. And if you look at the guard right there, look at how stretched out he is. Look at his head is over his foot.
Yeah, everybody else is. I mean, this guy out here, he's just kind of doing a little pivot block anyway. But you know, these guys, you're getting your double team on, you're pulling over, you're trying to run single back power away, and this guy's, you know, trying to block him down, seal him off. And you get into his chest again. So lever, I think that's one thing that we're seeing early on, right? Is
he's got leverage
with proper leverage, being able to get underneath the offensive lineman and kind of control them. And again, he's trying to go off, make a play, but that's not expected. So again, the run's away from him. He's in his gap here. The run goes elsewhere, goes the other side.
Yeah. Again, he's a 3 technique is a B gap defender, so you don't want him to be on the other side of the guard. He is filling his gap. He's got a shoulder square to the gap. He's where he's supposed to be. Oh, inside move.
Okay, so again, second and 8.
Oh, there it is. There's his athleticism. Okay, so get off the ball.
Finish it. So, yeah, so again, burst off the line here.
Yeah.
Not his best example, but still good. I mean, still
so
ahead
he
of
reads
his other guys.
He's got a swim move.
Yeah, so here's one of the things I was talking about earlier in terms of pass rush plan, right? And effectively what that means is you can be in one of 3 spots relative to the offensive lineman that's trying to block you. You're either on low ground, which means, again, as they're setting back. So as an example here, kind of makes a move. But if you were imagine on the edge, right? So if you look at number 8 here, he's underneath the tackle. He's on low ground. You can be there. You can be even ground, which is what we looked at, right, with the rip move, right? As soon as he gets the rip, him and the offensive lineman even in the vertical space here. So he gets to even ground. Or you can be on the high ground, which means when you're rushing around the edge, especially, it means you've gotten to the upfield shoulder of the offensive lineman. And so based on the positioning that you're at relative to that lineman, certain moves are going to work better, right? If you've got high ground, well, you don't even need to fuck with that blocker, really. You need to, you know, kind of look to not make contact. You bend around the edge, go get the quarterback. When you're on high ground, you need to do, that's usually where you need to make a move, right? As a jab step inside so that I can still work the edge. Am I going to convert speed to power? You have a couple options there, but you need to make some sort of move on the offensive lineman to try to get him off balance. Low ground is usually where you're looking at either a power move or coming with some sort of inside counter. And that's what we kind of see from here is these guys kind of overset, right? They go outside really quick. You see them jump outside, and then you get that gap on the inside. He's going to take advantage with a quick spin move.
Yeah,
and you use that athleticism.
Quick swim.
Get him. And I mean, so here's the thing. The only thing that we've seen so far, and you like the pressure, but these are the opportunities, man, finish that, right? Get him to the ground, get the sack.
So
Um,
one thing that Four Verts talked about was Solomon Thomas's hand size. And in his scouting report for Solomon Thomas, he talked about how he thinks that part of the reason he didn't finish these plays is because of Solomon Thomas's hands.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. I do remember seeing that because he has small.
He
yeah,
has small
you can't
hands for his
quite
size. And
grab
any
on.
defensive lineman, if you've got a big hand here, you're able to grab a bit more jersey. And he can't do that because, well, he's got small hands. So, I mean, basically what we're trying to say is that we drafted the Alex Smith of defensive linemen.
I mean, yeah, his hand size. So it just.
I mean, this play is kind of an example of that.
That's actually a perfect example. Yeah.
He puts his hand on the chest. He should be able to finish this play.
And so looking at the numbers and kind of comparing him to some of the other edge guys, so he's got 9.375 inch hands. So I think what that 3/8, 9 3/8. Myles Garrett, 10 1/4. Jordan Willis, just under 10, looks like 9 7/8. Yeah, so usually you're seeing, I mean, Watt is at 11.
Yeah, 10 or 11 inch hands is what you're talking about. He is closer to 9.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys there, you see a few that creep up over 10, but most guys are kind of upper 9 inch, right around 10. So yeah, I mean, he's on the lower end of that for sure. I mean, Derek Rivers is another guy that has actually the same hand size as he does, and you know, I don't know that you saw some of those same issues with him. So I don't know, who knows how much of an issue it is. You know, I hate to kind of look too much into those sort of things, but it does make sense, right? Like about how
Makes a ton of sense.
Can't grab onto as much jersey to be able to hold on to those guys. So, all right, moving on to the next play. Let's see what we got.
All right, I'm gonna go grab a beer, and I'll be back in a second. Oh wait, hold on, we got the other angle.
We get a little bit. We get a replay here, so get to see that
swims inside,
right. and that's really what you want to see is. So let me get back here. Come on. Yeah, so right there. So you see the tack or the guard, excuse me, his inside
left
arm trying
yeah.
to punch the chest, right?
Yeah.
His right arm swat that away.
Yeah.
Get that off me. Swims
over.
Get his hips through and to get his body through. But it's really kind of getting that tackle's hands off of him there.
Let me see this.
Important piece of that.
Hassan Reddick, huh? All right. Good job, Cardinals.
Oh, man. Fuck the Cardinals for making that pick.
Yeah, dude, that's a good pick. I was hoping that Mahomes was there because I'm not super high on him. Let me see what happens when his chest gets on Mitsubishi or when his hand gets on Mitsubishi's chest.
I mean, it doesn't stay there for very long.
Yeah, but it's because they're fucking little.
On the quarterback. Sorry. Yeah, I thought you were.
No, not on the guard. Yeah, let me see. Be kind, rewind, bro. Yeah, he's got it, dude. He's got it. Why can't he finish that?
I don't know. Tiny hands, I guess.
The
fucking. I'm not even
tiny hands,
not even
short arms. All right, I'll be back in a jiff.
All right, here we go. So edge again. So this is more what we're hoping to see from him. 3rd and 8. Should be full on pass rush here. Should see, pretty good get off. So this is what you get a good example here. What I was talking about earlier in terms of the high, low, even ground. So right here, once you get 3-4 steps in, where he is relative to that offensive lineman at the set point again, which we're talking about 3.5 yards kind of to the outside foot of that tackle. And so here we're on even ground, right? So he needs to do something. He needs to make some sort of move to get the offense off balance. Looks like he's trying to convert speed to power, right? So he gets his hands into the chest of that lineman, trying to push him back and then come off and get the quarterback. You want to see now the one thing here. So everything looks mostly pretty good. I mean, he's obviously controls that tackle. He's able to push him backwards. You want to see the angle to the ball be a little bit better. So he kind of comes off underneath, right? which allows Trubisky to get inside. So when you look at usually the pass rush as a whole, your two outside guys, so your edge guys here, your edge guy here, are really your contained guys. You want to see them targeting this kind of back shoulder, right? So that if they can't quite get to him, it forces him up into the pocket. Then where you have your two interior guys, hopefully pushing the pocket back and kind of collapsing things in on the quarterback, right? Is the big picture look at what you're trying to do here with a 4-man pass rush. So he's kind of targeting more the inside, the upfield shoulder here, and that's what allows him to get outside. But everything he does in terms of, again, converting speed to power there, showing strength, getting hands above the eyes, all looks pretty good there from the edge.
I mean, was that a flag? Should have been a flag.
All right, 1st and 10.
Oh,
So
nice.
this is where you get to see him, and that's a big thing, right? Here you get to see the hand usage. Get tackles trying to come in, get his hands on him. And so,
yeah, so we
it's
remind
kind of
you.
this-
So we've talked a lot about the position-specific traits: burst off the ball, hand usage, pass rush.
All right, I'm gonna grab a beer. Be right back.
Yeah, get a beer. So we've talked a good bit about the position-specific traits. Burst off the ball. We've shown you how he is always ahead of the rest of the defensive linemen, and in some cases, the offensive linemen. Hand usage, both the swim move, the rip move, and here again, you see him just go to the inside, and what feels like it looks like he's got Pam on his jersey because it just slipped right off of him, and he's able to slip right inside and make the backside tackle on this inside zone play. So, I mean, he is showing the fact that he's got the quality skills at 3 of the 5. And in this case, this is the run stop. So it'd be 4 of the 5 key position traits that you want for a defensive lineman. So, I mean, overall, this is a good game. This is one of his highly graded games, and he's doing well overall. And so this is kind of what you want to see out of the first round pick. I'm still curious about that hand size. I'm curious about what that ends up being against, kind of more wily quarterbacks, the Russell Wilsons of the world, if you will. But overall, this is the kind of game that you want to see from someone like a Solomon Thomas. I'd love to be able to hit play here, but David is getting a beer, and I cannot hit play. So instead, we're going to wait here until David gets back. Oh, God, who was pick 13? Who was pick 13?
All right, we're back.
Oh, man. The Eagles selected Derek Barnett at 14.
That's what I mean. Everybody. So a lot of people I saw beforehand were just saying that he was such an Eagles pick. Their D line is already like fucking kind of terrifying. I mean, Brandon Graham was one of the best edge guys in the league last year, and I mean they got him. Do they still? I forget Connor Barwin. I forget who left in free agency.
Yeah, Barwin. I
still
feel like
have
left.
everybody. But I mean, their defensive line was pretty dominant last year. Was pretty good. So. Again, we talked about with the Niners. I mean, I love it when teams kind of take, what's a good spot for them, what's a good position, and make it this dominant position of strength and add another piece there. So, yeah, I mean, him and Brandon Graham on the outside going after guys. I mean, that's kind of terrifying. And the 49ers have, I believe the NFC East is the division. I think it's the NFC East and the AFC South are the 2 divisions that we have coming up this year. So we're going to have to see Derek Barnett.
So what do you think about, before we hit this next step here, what do you think about Colin Kaepernick to the Cleveland Browns? Because they aren't able to get one of the top quarterbacks in this league. Or in this league, I'm sorry. In the draft.
Definitely not one of the best in the league.
Yeah. Sorry. They're not able to, they weren't able to get Mitchell Trubisky. They're not, they're way down at the bottom of the first. And so they're like, you know what? Maybe we'll ride Colin Kaepernick out on a 2-year deal and pick up a quarterback next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it makes sense. We talked about this for the Niners, right? Making sense is kind of a short-term option. I don't think nobody's really confusing him for a franchise guy at this point. You know, we just haven't seen it from the last couple of years, but I think his tape is certainly better than some of the guys that seem to shuffle around every year from team to team as kind of these bridge quarterbacks, right? I think he's at least on par, if not better than those guys. So it would make sense in a vacuum. I mean, whether it'll happen, I have no clue. But yeah, I mean, the Browns, again, they seem to be taking kind of the long play. And, you know, what we're hoping for the 49ers a little bit. They're not in a rush necessarily to get these guys because they know that it's going to take some time to get the roster where it needs to be.
All right, let's keep on going with this game.
All right, so let's where we get the big arrow. There we go. So we're head up over the tackle. So yeah, they look in kind of your traditional 3-man line, your odd front here. So true nose, zero technique, 2 ends over the tackle, 1st and 10. Okay, so he's on the backside. So we got kind of a zone run play, right? He's not. So the big thing is that he's not the force, the contained player on this side, right? So he's very clearly looking to control that B gap. Gets in there, gets the offensive lineman. Again, we talk about hand usage, been very good so far, I think, and kind of pursue that play from the backside. If the running back looks to cut back, he's right there, and that's what you're looking for. When the run's going the other way, especially on zone runs, you kind of want to pursue that guy inside out. You don't want to overrun it. You want to be in position if he were to decide that he's going to turn and come back this way, he's going to run into Solomon Thomas.
Well, while you were gone, I talked about how when we looked at the 5 kind of categories of defensive linemen, we talked about hand usage, burst off the ball, pass rush, run, stop, pursuit. I feel like this play does a pretty good job of showing how his hand usage is good. We talked about the swim move earlier as well. We talked a lot about his burst off the ball. We talked about his ability to stop the run, and here there's backside pursuit, and how his pass rush has a couple of issues, but it's still very, very good. I feel like maybe we should switch and transition to a game where he is not highly rated, because this is one of his highly rated games, meaning that most of the snaps we're going to see are going to be pretty good, but there's still some tape on him that's not so great, and I feel like we should maybe switch to some of the tape that is not so great to show maybe the things that you might be worried about at the second level. So when you look at his grading overall, what's one of the games that's on Draft Breakdown that doesn't have him graded all that well?
So it's kind of hilarious because nearly every
every game is going to be
highly.
Good.
I mean,
he was the top-rated
run
defender and like the 6th-rated pass defender on Pro Football Focus.
Yeah. He's in the green in every game except for one, which is against Rutgers, which was looks like the last regular season game. I think that's Rutgers. Let me check. Oh no, Rice. Excuse me. And the only reason that he was kind of in the red for that game was due to penalties. So he had 3 penalties called on him in that game, but was still graded well. Run defense was about average, only had 1 hurry, so it wasn't doing a ton in terms of rushing the passer in that game. But I mean, yeah, he was solid. And then again, that's what you're hoping for a top pick like that, right? In terms of production, is he should be dominant against college competition. And that's kind of what we saw from Solomon Thomas for a lot of, at least 2016, especially. I'm definitely okay. If you maybe we can move through this a little bit quicker. I mean, obviously this is a good play. We can kind of see if there are any plays that really jump out as we're going through here. Where was he at? So double team there, not a whole lot going on. Move on to the next one. So here's on the edge. So 3rd and 12. And I guess, and that's one thing I'll point out with that last run too, the backside of the zone run. When we're talking about a Leo, that's what you're hoping to get, right? Is usually, and you can't always do it,
pursuit,
but you're trying to get him on the open side, which is, the weak side away from the tight end. And so a lot of times, and it's not always, teams will run to the weak side sometimes for sure. So you need to be able to hold up at the point of attack. But a lot of times teams are going to run toward the tight end. That's kind of the dominant side. That's what they're going to look to do most often. So usually your Leo, being the open side, weak side player, is playing on the back side of those run plays. It's the same idea with your Will, right? Your Will linebacker not having to take on a lot of blocks. Well, it's because he's on the weak side of the formation. And so when those runs go away from him, he's able to kind of flow to the ball a little bit more and not have to take on as many blocks directly. Leo's in a very similar position. So you want to see him be able to pursue those plays from the backside and kind of make a play on it. So that last run that we saw there, I think that was a solid example of something that he's going to look to have to do, as a Leo in the 49ers scheme. But here again, pass rush 3rd and 12 on the edge, wide 9. Let's see what he does. All right, so
Bends. Look at that bend.
this is great, right? I mean, this is
awesome. This is what you want. So Pete Carroll talks about how, sometimes they align the Leo out wider than normal, kind of a wide 9-ish, in order to get him a better angle of attack to the quarterback. And this is exactly what you want. I mean, you got to think of the level of competition here, right? Like, who is who's the right tackle for the North Carolina Tar Heels? I have no fucking clue, but he gets abused here. Look at his leverage.
Again, you're on even ground, so you got to make a move, right? You can't just pure bend. You can't ignore the tackle. Even ground. That rip.
Yep. I mean, he gets under. He bends.
And the only reason, so this isn't a pass play. This is a draw.
Quarterback draw. Yeah.
And so he's taken off there. If this were a pass play,
he would have gotten sandwiched. Both of them. Both this is a straight up meet at the quarterback play.
And there may be some element too. So the other thing you have to consider, right, with the draw, and while this is good and you see the bend here, I mean, look at how flat he comes, right? So he gets to what's the 8-yard line here, and he comes flat
to the 8
line, pretty much his upper body at least, which is kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the tackle, knowing that it's a draw, he's really trying to protect the inside, right? So he's not as eager to set outside. So he's kind of giving that up a little bit, knowing that the quarterback is going to be coming inside there. So you got to consider that a little bit, but still the athleticism is what you're looking for, right? You still see kind of that bend, gets off balance a little bit. You want to see him keep his foot flat. See how his right foot here kind of slides out underneath him. That's really what you're looking at on the bend is, can he keep his feet flat?
And
still come around there. But overall, I mean, I think that's, a solid sign.
Malik Hooker just went to the Colts.
The Colts?
Yeah. Weird, right?
That is weird. Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of one of those that was not one of the defenses that was seemed to be a good fit for him. I'm not terribly familiar with what the Colts run schematically on defense, so I don't know how much single high stuff they play, but pick 15. I mean, that's not bad. Again, for a guy that was expected to go maybe number 2.
I mean, I would have been fine at number 2.
So here again, I think you see the process. So you get a little bit, leverage, knocks that tackle back.
One hand.
But you're getting the screen. Recognition, boom, there. Okay, I'm getting back. Taking off.
Well, his pursuit angle there is what? Okay, so there, to me, I didn't think that he recognized it. I thought he was just making an inside move. So he goes outside, comes back inside. When he comes inside, it doesn't look like Mitsubishi is like right there.
I mean, as soon as he gets in, so yeah, I mean, I think he's.
So he gets inside, and then he's like, so to me, he's like, he gets inside right there. Okay, now it's the pursuit angle, and he takes a fantastic angle, and he's got the speed to get him. Like that to me is more of an example of his pursuit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And well, his hands in his pursuit more than anything else. I mean, those two are really good there.
All right, what do we got? 2nd and 5. We're almost at halftime. All right, 0 play. We're moving on from that. We're not spending any time.
Double team again.
So again, you're not looking for a lot.
He gets stood up,
hands up.
But to be fair, he knows he stood up and he stands back and he tries to put his hands up to try and affect the pass with his little short, stubby arms and his big little hands.
I don't even think that it stood up. I mean, double team in pass protection, you're just not expecting a lot. Right? You're
no. That's I don't say stood up negatively. I just mean stood up as in what actually happens to him. Like he gets put in one place. But when you're going up against 360 pounds per person, or I guess you're looking at what 300 pounds per, so you're looking at 600 pounds of force at least. Like that's what you would expect.
Yeah.
He's just standing there and he's like, okay, I'm not going to beat both these guys, so I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to put my hands up.
All right, so I'm not going to take a look at that one. Where are we at? Again, so cut blocks are just like nothing. Get your bullshit. I mean, that's kind of a bullshit cut block, but yeah, not having that shit. Double team again in pass protection. Not looking for anything there. Yeah, I mean, there you go. So here's, yeah, I mean, maybe the hand size is a little bit of a worry. You see him get there, and these, I mean, this is a great play before then, right? He kind of splits the
Yeah.
two linemen. The center is kind of trying down on him there so that they can pull out and run the kind of single back power action that they have going on.
So he rips
and
through again.
Splits it, and so he gets there, rips through the center. He's in position, grabs a hold of him, and those tiny little fingers just can't hold on.
I'm telling you, man, tiny little hands.
But at the same time, looking at this more positively, right, is when you're on the interior like that too, sometimes, you know,
you're moving
if
in
you don't
directions that your body
quite
and
finish
your
the play,
hands
it's not
would
as big of a
handle.
deal. Well, if your teammates are doing their job, right, if you're making that kind of play, if you're slowing the running back's progress 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage,
You should have a
like
cleanup.
your teammate should be there to kind of clean things up for you, because he's still got a blocker hanging on to him as well. So it's not like that's an easy play necessarily to make. And so, yeah, I mean, he slows him down. His teammate comes in, still tackle for loss. Like, that's a win for the defense, right? And that's a play that he created where you're not looking, you know, nothing shows up in the box score for him there, and we get a really good look at the rip here. Puts those guys, rips through that center,
Oh, it's pretty.
and you know, again, he's in position. Yeah, you'd love to see
Well,
these
also,
tackles,
I
but-
mean, he tries to get him with his outside arm.
man, he's just getting a lot of attention.
Double
So-
team.
So look at, so again, double this, and this is where, so if you get anything out of this, I mean, this is just
It's a bonus,
it's incredible. It's a huge bonus. It's icing on the cake.
and
So
he
he's
splits
fighting
it.
off these guys, splits the double team. You know, go pressure the quarterback.
But again, look at his hands.
Mitsubishi, I don't think
He's got to
gone
finish
right.
that.
I mean, he never touched.
Well, it's okay. I don't know if he touched him. So he's
Well,
going outside.
Mitsubishi,
Mitsubishi might do a good thing here.
He's got some good
Mitsubishi's got some
cornering
wiggle.
skills, right? Yeah, you can,
Look, offense. Look, we've said this before. Offensive players get paid too.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, and I mean, that's one thing that you talked about with Trubisky was, I mean, his athleticism scores were very similar to Sean Watson.
They were
He's an athletic guy,
sneaky, athletic white guy.
athletic white guy. And yeah, so I mean, you can't.
He's
hate that. That's a very
explosive.
good thing.
As a white athlete.
And again, the
Sneakily
pressure, the sacks aren't always going to be there. Getting consistent pressure, I think, is the more important thing. Eventually, that's going to lead to sacks. So A gap rush here. I mean, you like the strength. I mean, you like the play strength so far. He really is able to. I mean, I don't know how good this North Carolina offensive line is. They don't look great.
They don't look great.
to be honest. But I mean, he's controlling those guys. I mean, he's kind of physically dominating them on most snaps. He's able to kind of shed blocks when he needs to. Yeah, so this is, I think, one of the plays where you're talking about on the interior where you're worried about is, again, power play, and kind of gets washed out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you look at it. Okay, so what's interesting to me is you look at his shoulders. His shoulders immediately. Where's his gap? So hold on, go back.
So he's an A gap guy here.
Yeah, so he's A gap. And at the snap, he tries to hit that A gap, but that backside 76 immediately hits his back and turns him.
Yeah. And so when you see him perpendicular like that to the line of scrimmage, that's not good.
Yeah.
Again, especially in run defense, you want to stay parallel to the line of scrimmage. Is really going to be your best spot. And so because that tries to spin out of it, really has lost all his power at that point and kind of gets taken out of the play. So that's where on the interior, you're a little bit worried. Again, hopefully we're not seeing him there a whole lot in kind of heavy run situations for the Niners. But
So-
here, edge, let's see if we get something. 3rd and 13 out there on the edge. Don't be a stunt.
Wide 9. Double team again.
He's getting
Yeah,
a shit
stunt.
ton of attention. I
Double team.
mean, they're running a stunt.
Yeah, it's a
away.
stunt still. He's
that's
still able to
Pickens trying
do-
come in there.
Yeah,
That's
he's
Pickens
coming
trying to
around.
there.
I'm not happy with his.
A lot of games from the Stanford.
Yeah, I'm not happy with his upfield shoulder getting hit like that. But here he is on the inside again.
Burst. Oh man.
Yeah, look at how he's extended his left arm.
I mean, he's already beat the fucking guard.
Before
and
the
guys
ball
aren't even
is to-
engaging yet.
Before the ball is to the quarterback.
Okay, play strength, not so great after that. So you get the good start, and this is the danger. So I mean, this is more of an interior thing. Again, how much this is going to matter for him in his role with San Francisco, we don't know.
Yeah.
But the swim move is a little dangerous on the interior, right? That's why the
'Cause
rip
you
is a
can
little
get
bit
pushed
safer
off.
because the rip, it keeps your leverage low. You're going under the offensive lineman and kind of
Well, it's the
elevating
same
him.
reason the stack and shed is important so the stack and shed for linebackers is where you hit with the shoulder and you put your foot down on the same side. It's so you don't get turned. And it's the same thing I feel like with the rip and the swim. With the rip, the arm that you're moving up is the same foot that you're using for your strength. Whereas with the swim, it's opposite arm, opposite foot, which means you can get turned really easily. And that's what happens here. He lifts up his right arm, but his left foot is planted in the ground.
You're
He-
exposing your entire
Your entire chest.
right.
You're creating a pivot point.
He's there, and you have to go over. The swim
Correct.
goes over the top of the offensive lineman.
That's
you
why the
usually
swim
keep
is
it
a great
pretty
inside
compact.
move.
Yeah, that especially when we were talking about edge guys. Usually, you see the swim is more of their kind of inside counter. So here, you get the great get off. You see the burst upfield. Tries to go with the swim move and get past the guy, and the guard's able to get underneath him, and you lose
And
all
wash him
leverage.
out.
So with the swim, you're really banking on being able to get through there quick and kind of getting the guy behind you, knowing that you're giving up leverage. And if the guard's ready to react, I mean, this is what happens. You get kind of put to the ground. So
Yeah. All right, David. When are you going to get another beer? I feel like you got to catch up.
I just got one.
Oh, I just
I
got
mean,
one
I'm about
too.
to finish this one too. We can go.
Me too. I'm about to finish this one too.
I don't know.
We're not about to throw up. We're about to finish.
Not about to throw up.
Okay, so we're just about we're past halftime. We're 7 minutes in. I feel like, especially we're a little less or a little more ish about halfway through the draft. I feel like we've gone through his best game. We should go through his worst game because I feel like that would be like I like, especially here, I like the ability of saying like, okay, this is his best game. This is what he's done well. He's clearly dominated a lot of these players. He's beat double teams easily in some cases. I've only counted maybe one or two, kind of minus plays that he's had.
Let's see. Do we have? Let me pull up his games again. I closed that. K-State week 1.
Really?
Is-
Bill
is-
Snyder's K-State?
Is kind of his lowest. That's his lowest overall grade. That's his lowest run defense grade, and that's his second lowest pass rush grade. It still ended up
Wow.
positive overall. He actually has like 2 sacks, 4 hits, and in 2 hurries in this game. So I'm curious to see why the pressure didn't translate into a positive grade. I'm wondering if maybe we got some cleanup sacks and cleanup pressures or that sort of thing going on here. But let me see if they got K-State on draft breakdown. So I think so far, though, my initial takeaway, and again, you'd like to see, of course, when you're projecting a guy to be an edge player for you and to be able to get after the passer at that Leo spot, you want to see it, right? You want to have a bunch of snaps to go to and say, yeah, this is him doing it, in college. So we know that he at least has those skills. He has the technique down to be able to get that done. And, we don't have a lot of those snaps, right? He gets out there every once in a while. But most of his snaps are in the inside. We see him lined up at 3 technique a lot. And a lot of these are sub packages too, right? And that's again part of his value, especially if they're. I don't know how sold I am as for Eric Armstead being this edge player all of a sudden, which
No,
is
he's
just
not.
kind of
He was a
baffling to me.
Leo. Don't be a Leo.
So that's kind of strange. I think you can see him there, and I think Buckner's the same way. Like you can mix things up every once in a while when you're kind of in those nickel and dime defenses, right? And you can kind of move guys around, and maybe one snap you're going to get Buckner and Thomas on the inside and Armstead outside. Maybe another snap you're going to have Thomas on the outside and Buckner and Armstead in the middle. So you can play with it a little bit. Again, I really think they need to see like if they could get a Derek Rivers at the top, like so we talked about doubling up on DB without really considering doubling up on
edge.
And I think somebody like Derek Rivers would be a perfect complement, right? Where he's more of a speed guy. And he's a little bit more undersized. And I think there, again, you just start to create a strength, you know?
Well, this is where, so you think of Saleh's comment about the comment that kind of threw Twitter aflame about Eric Armstead playing Sam and Leo. And you think to yourself, okay, why does that make sense?
It doesn't.
It really it doesn't. But you think about maybe someone like a Vic Beasley, and you think, okay, someone like a Vic Beasley could play that edge rusher, maybe kind of linebacker-ish hybrid role. And I don't think Eric Armstead can do that. But if you draft someone like, I don't know, maybe almost a TJ Watt-ish type of player, you could see that happening. You could see this kind of like, I don't know where quite I'm going to put you, but I know you're fast as all holy get out. I know you're athletic. So let me go ahead and let you rush the passer with Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, and maybe, you know, Tank Carradine or Aaron Lynch or whomever wins out of that kind of mush of players.
Oh, have me on mute for a second. Yeah, I mean, like I want to give Eric Armstead a chance, you know, to go out there. Like, you know, I'm not saying that he can't do it necessarily. I'm just saying that it would be incredibly surprising to see him succeed in that role. He would break every mold that we have for those positions. Like it doesn't make sense.
Oh no, I don't think he makes sense. But I do think that drafting someone who could do something like that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it would be great to see. I mean, I hadn't thought about that scenario, like a Solomon Thomas, Derek Rivers, or you know, Jordan Willis or TJ Watt or something like that. Who we got?
Jonathan Allen.
Man, talk about somebody that's like fallen.
The only thing missing from Jonathan Allen is a YOLO tattoo behind his ear.
You saw the guy with the chip tattoo, right?
What? No.
Oh my God.
Does he literally have the word chip tattooed on his shoulder?
Oh, because no. Even better than that is he has a like Pringles style chip on his shoulder.
Oh my God.
And then below it has what the fuck was his name? I can't think of it. He was pick 189 because I remember
it's
so
like
the tattoo,
pun on pun.
The tattoo is a Pringles chip and then the number 189, which was his overall selection, like right below it. And then he posted that to like Instagram or whatever. It was like, I've been playing with a chip on my shoulder all my life.
Oh my dear God. Dear fucking God.
All right. So we've got, let's close this up here.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to take this opportunity to get a beer.
All right. So we're going to pause for beer. And then we're going to come back and we're going to turn on Kansas State. I'm surprised there's still 8. We've only lost like 20 viewers. I don't know if it's the same people, but still 80 of you rocking strong. So thanks for hanging in there with us. You know, we're just fucking around at this point. We're 2 hours into it. So yeah, hang tight for just a minute. We're going to do beer run and then we're going to turn on what looks to be one of Solomon Thomas's not so great games. Man, your beer run was quick. I haven't even left to get mine yet. So
Yeah,
Go
my
ahead and
refrigerator is not too far away.
you waste some
Uh,
time.
yeah, I am looking at. Well, what game are we gonna? What's the lowest graded? Kansas State. Yeah, Bill Snyder. Good old Kansas State. I'm actually looking at Bay Area Sports Guy's website. He is picking, or he's got some shirts that he is selling, which are pretty legit. Not gonna lie.
Wait,
Go
who's
to
selling shirts? What?
Bay Area Sports Guy. Here, let me. Actually, I'm gonna send you a link. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna tweet it out right now because the link is pretty legit. There are some Joe Montana catch like Henley's baseball shirts. There's a Joe Montana with his hands up kind of shirt. It's pretty legit. Let me do this right here real quick. Newman, how do you spell your last name? Don't worry, I know.
Damn. You don't even know me. I still can't believe that we managed to get a third, a fourth, and a future third for one pick.
I love it, and it's who we wanted
One
anyway.
fucking pick to get Solomon Thomas anyway.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people are not big fans and again, like, are a little bit worried about the projection with him and moving him outside and redundancy with him.
I think it's a great pick either way, and
I
maybe
think you take good players.
I think you do, and maybe we didn't make that case as strongly as we could have on the show, but I feel like I still, again, what do you want at the top of the first round? You want athleticism and production, and that's what he's done. That's exactly what he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I again, I think at this point, getting, it was so funny, like the Roto World, when they go through and they do their draft needs for every single team, and then they look at some, potential picks at some of those spots, and their needs for the Niners was useful football players.
They absolutely, and they're not wrong.
They can find them, and it's not wrong at all. They need guys that are good football players, and I think Solomon Thomas is. You can, maybe be undecided as to what his true position is in the NFL, but I think he's a good player.
No, not undecided at all. You know what he is inside, and you know what he is at a kind of defense 3-4 defensive end.
He's Michael Bennett,
and you project the edge. That's exactly. He's Michael Bennett. He is Michael Bennett.
Which is not a problem. I think you figure out a way to make it work, and if you end up not being able to get all three of them on the field as much as you'd like, whatever. The other thing was defensive line is very much a position like we've been in a spot where we've had some kind of Ironman defensive linemen that are playing ridiculous percentages of snaps. Like Justin Smith, right, was always for a long time like 90% plus defensive snaps, and then Buckner was kind of that way last year. That's not a normal thing. Like, I'm not even convinced that's a good thing in most plays. Like, you want a defensive line rotation to go 6, 7, 8 players deep, especially now that we're going to be in 4-man lines pretty much, on every single snap. You need a rotation there to keep these guys fresh and to be able to, where they don't have to take some plays off, right? When you're playing 90-95% of the snaps, Buckner, you saw it last year where he isn't able to really go full go 100% of the time. It's just not a realistic expectation. And so if you can get some rotation in there and get these three guys, if they're all playing about 65, 70, maybe 75% of the snaps in that range, like that's a win, right? Because now they're all fresh when they're in there, maybe a little bit lower risk of injury, and they're able to kind of give full effort on the snaps that they are in there and be more productive. So, yeah, I'm on board with what we've seen so far.
Well, and you think of like we talked about building a strength, right? And by we, I mean you. And you talked a bit about how you really want to be strong in one area. You think of defensive line, you think of teams that have done well with defensive lines. And you think of the Giants. They had Michael Strahan. And then you've got Osi Manura. You've got, I think, like Kiwanuka. And you had their NASCAR package, which was a Justin Tuck, they've got players that are like, yeah, you've got 4 basically defensive ends on the field at one time, and they're going to wreak some havoc. They're going to make some shit happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a defense. Like, you can never have, it was, you saw Steve making this comment about cornerbacks, but I think the same is true.
You can never have too many.
For pass rushers, right? For defensive linemen, you can never have too many defensive linemen. You never have too many guys that can cover people on the back end. That's what you want. Like, that was why the idea of taking somebody like Reuben Foster, even if he's a great player, like, and I have nothing against Reuben Foster as a player. Like, I'm sure that he will be great and very productive wherever he goes, but it's just not as valuable to have the production there as it is when you have top end defensive linemen, top end secondary players. That's what makes your defense go. And I think that's especially true in this scheme in particular. Like, that's really what makes this defense go, is your guys on the back end, guys up front. You can get by with players that maybe aren't as great. Like, obviously you want to have players at every level, at every position that are good players, productive players. But if you have to pick, if you have to build around a few, D-line, corner, I think makes a lot of sense.
So real quick, I just saw a Rob Louder tweet. John Lynch said that Parag Marate executed the draft trade with the Bucks.
Wait, or the Bears?
Oh, I'm sorry, with the Bears. Yeah, sorry. The Bucks
trade?
are the pick is in for the Bucks, and they selected OJ Howard incidentally, but which I think is phenomenal. OJ Howard to the Bucks is a great pick.
Yeah, I'm all about, like, football is more fun when quarterbacks are good, and so when you can give like young quarterbacks, like we saw Mariota get Corey Davis early. Now we're seeing Winston get OJ Howard. Like, that's good. I think that's good for the game. It makes it more fun to watch.
I agree, but you think so? Basically, what they're saying is that Marate is the guy who executed that trade. I mean, this is Marate's world, and we're all living in it, apparently.
I mean, it seems to be, and I'm perfectly okay with this, that, we talk about evaluation and valuation all the time, right? And kind of that distinction. And it seems like Lynch and his staff are kind of doing the evaluation, and then they're letting Marate handle the valuation part of it right now until they, maybe until he gets a little bit more comfortable. Who knows? Like, again, have no idea what to make of some of his comments. But I don't think that's, especially right now in the situation, like, that's what he's good at. Like, he's shown that he's good at managing the cap and handling those sort of things, the value aspect of things. So yeah, that's not surprising at all. It was a great trade. I think it couldn't have worked out better for them.
So I think OJ Howard is a pretty much phenomenal pick for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I mean, they need offensive weapons.
Yeah. I mean, now you have, a guy on the outside, or you have 2 guys, because they added Deshaun Jackson right in free agency. So now you have Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, and then OJ Howard, like, wreaking havoc in the middle of the field. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
is this the year to get on the Bucks bandwagon? Is this the year?
It's funny because, like, I always remember listening to, the Grantland NFL podcast when that was a thing, and then even Robert Mays, since he's been with the Ringer, and this kind of fear of jumping on the Bucks bandwagon because they were on the Bucks bandwagon for so long. But yeah, I think they have some promising pieces, especially offensively now.
All right, hit me with the Solomon Thomas bad tape. Kansas State.
All right, we got a new type of big.
We got a new arrow.
Where are we at? 1st and 10.
All right.
So that's the one thing that I love with college tape. I mean, it's not as big of a deal when we're doing defensive linemen, but in some of these college games, you get these big wide angles like this where you can.
Well, I was gonna say this looks like coach's tape, but it's TV
great.
film.
Like, it's just, like, this is what college life is like. It's kind of varied. Like, sometimes you get some real fucked up stuff, especially with small schools, but you get a lot of these kind of wide angles where you can really see a lot of what's going on, which is nice.
All right. So he's head up on the tackle. Looks like
double.
Yeah, gets doubled again.
All right. So let's see. So what are we running here? So we're going kind of inside zone. It looks like towards him. So inside. So he's on play
So where's
side.
his feet? So he's planted his right foot.
They're really looking to combo, right? So
they're
guard
comboing.
tackle.
Yeah.
So one of them's looking to take over the end, and so that the other can move up and pick up the linebacker.
That looks honestly like a plus play for the okay, so I'm interested to see the quality of competition here, because North Carolina's offensive line, I have no idea how good they are. I don't know enough about college football to know whether or not they're good or not. And I know Kansas State as a team, just in general, just because of the fact that they're in the Big 12. But again, I don't know the quality of their offensive line, because when I look at the types of blocks that the North Carolina teams made, they did not look that good. And I look at and this is one play, one block. But when I look at the combo block here, it immediately looks better than North Carolina.
So just looking at some of the grades that we have for K-State O-linemen, they're a little mixed. So we have a couple of really good players. Let's see what position that they're at here. So we have 2 that graded really well, and the rest of them not so much. So right tackle, which is one of the guys that we're looking at here, which is Dalton Risner. And what position is this guy? Right guard. All right. So these are the two guys. So these were their highest graded guys. The rest of the offensive line,
their right guard and their right tackle.
Yeah, right guard, right tackle, which are
the two guys that just had a good.
So those were guys that graded very well, actually, for us. So the rest of the offensive line, not so much. You see a lot of red there. So we'll see. We'll see if he moves around or if he stays mostly on the left side and is going up against those guys, and kind of what that all looks like. But yeah, I mean, you get the double here, and that's kind of one of the things. That's why you're concerned again with him playing on the interior, being 273. I mean, he gets that extension. So that's one thing where, again, everybody's worried about the arm length.
Yeah.
This is why if you can,
he turns his shoulders.
If you can get that one arm,
yeah.
Look at the tackle can't do anything, right? The tackle can't reach you if you can one arm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter at that point if you have 32, 33, 35-inch arms. If you can get that technique down, that's what's going to win. And you can see him pushing the guy back. I mean, he's back further than any offensive lineman. They're getting the ball out quick there, so it doesn't have much of an opportunity to do anything. All right, so that quarterback's going to run a little bit. I mean, 3rd and 10. He's an interior guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you're really.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so let's see the progression of the play. So he tries to punch. He tries to extend with his left.
He's got 3 guys looking at him.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work.
Away.
Yeah.
So he's not doing a whole lot. I mean, he's not able to pick up. I mean, that quarterback looks pretty athletic though. So
yeah. He is, by the way.
I don't know I'm too terribly worried about that.
Oh, let's see this angle.
He's getting the attention. He's the and you'll see that a lot, right?
He tries to go to the outside, which is where he should go.
And this is what you'll see. So again, we talk about that kind of looking at the whole picture, right, for the team.
Yeah. He's looking at a guard and a tackle and a back.
Yeah. I mean, he's got all the attention in the middle. I mean, so you got your 2 contained players. So this guy's dropping back into coverage. You see him slanting. Everybody's slanting this way, right? Slanting towards the left of the screen. He's going to be your contained guy. He's going to be your A-gap rusher here. He's going to be your B-gap rusher. And then again, you got your contained. And that's usually what you get with your interior guys in a 4-man rush. You usually like an A-gap one side, B-gap on the other. And it's that B-gap player often that has a 2-way go that really is able to kind of maximize things. But the center, rather than go with the A-gap guy, you see he ends up turning back and helping on Thomas. So it kind of limits the opportunity there.
What you'd like to see is ideally Thomas squeeze that B gap a bit more. Well, this is a different play here. Let's go.
Yeah.
Again, fastest guy off the line. Extends.
Pushes him back. Comes off, make the play. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
There it is. There it is.
So again, you want to see him if the run's to his gap, if the runner wants to go there.
Yep.
Come off
Boom.
your play.
Get me. Come at me, bro.
That's a stop right there. I mean, so again, you're looking at 1st and 10. You want to keep them under 3 yards. That's what we got right there.
Yep.
You end up with, one of the best run stop percentages in the country. All right, so we're getting
All right,
on
hit
the
me
inside.
again. All right, looks like 3 technique. Well, no, 2-eye almost.
Yeah, he looks maybe even head up on. Oh wait, I'm doing the thing again. I forgot to do. Sorry guys, we forgot to do the thing where it doesn't flip to you every time you talk. All right, now we're good.
Yeah, he hits that B. Wait, yeah, I think he hits that B gap.
Yeah. I mean, he's looking to just
Yeah,
out
he's
athlete
rushing.
that dude, and quarterback's taking off running. All right,
He rips.
let's see there. We're gonna move on. 3rd and 9. All right, we're pass rush. So one thing I like is I always like when pass rushers get right up on the ball, right? Really eliminate that space. Like you see this guy back here, right? This right end, he's kind of back far. He's like a full yard off the ball. And so even if he gets a good jump off, like he's kind of putting himself at a disadvantage, right? I don't know. Maybe he's stunting inside. We'll see after the snap. But you like that when he just takes advantage of all of that space there. Yeah, I mean, so here we see the swim move again, which this is where it's best utilized. Inside counter, right? So that guard is trying to get outside.
Yeah. He goes inside.
Swim back inside. Put him behind you, go rush the quarterback.
Yeah.
That was almost a good catch.
That's a decent throw, not gonna lie. Now he's outside, head up on the tackle. Run away. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine. So
yeah,
looks like
decent pursuit.
I don't think he's primary force guy. I think that's probably this guy coming in late.
Yeah, it is.
But he's still C gap defender. It looks like here because he's staying outside. Yeah, comes off. I mean, and you do want to find the most. So there is a balance. Like I was actually listening to Wade Phillips talk about kind of his defensive fundamentals essentially, and one of the things that he mentioned that was actually really surprising to me because I'd never heard somebody say it this blatantly was that he kind of thinks that people maybe overrate this idea of like gap discipline, right? And being only sitting in your gap. And he said there's a point where you have to just go find the football and go get the football, right? So you want to be in your gap, you want to leverage your gap, but you need to get the football, right? You need to have your eyes in the backfield as a defensive lineman. You need to see where the ball's at, and you need to go get it. And so that's kind of what we see here, where he's C gap initially, sees the run going away. All right, I'm going to spin out, and I'm going to go get him. All right, so 2nd and 3, but we go empty here, so we know that's going to be a pass. He's lined up 3 technique. So leverage is good again. So we see him come off the ball low. Pad level is good. Hits into the guard. I was able to win. And so this is what I was talking about, where he has the 2-way go. So see how the center goes.
He goes to the left.
This is your A-gap player here. So this is kind of what you want, where the A-gap player is kind of drawing 2 guys. And then you got your edge guys as your contain that are one-on-one. And then your B-gap, your 3 technique. This is why that 3 technique is always looked at as such a good pass rushing position, right? Where you want the explosiveness is because he has this sort of 2-way go where he's one-on-one with the guard a lot. And so he comes inside. Yeah, doesn't quite get there. I mean, again, this quarterback, he's looking to get out pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's a runner. We got a runner.
Yeah, nothing there. I mean, you see the burst of the ball.
The burst is ridiculous. Look at that.
So,
look right there. He is head and shoulders beyond anyone else.
I mean, the tackle next to him, like, look, so he's engaging, and the other D tackle,
The ball's
isn't even-
halfway to the quarterback.
like he's barely lifting his hand up off the ground. So, and so these are the type of things, right, where again, we're trying to project, and it's tough. It's not easy. We're not seeing him out on the edge a lot doing the things that we want to see him do. But this is an example of something that you can translate to where, okay, like the burst off the ball, that's what you want to see from an edge player. And we're seeing that. I mean, yeah, that's great.
Let's see it again. The other angle.
Again, so this right guard's pretty good, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that, okay, so run it back one more time. Okay. So from here, the guard looks like he's in a position, and then the guard gets bent back right there. You think the guard is beat. The fact that he's able to come back and still, and again, he does it again. He almost gets beat again. Like, that's a pretty good fucking right guard. Like he gets beat almost twice and is able to recover just long enough for the quarterback to make a pass. That's pretty decent. That's pretty decent guard play.
And again, the expectation for, so remember, we're talking about our overall plan. You want to see these guys, your edge guys, hitting this back shoulder. You're targeting this area here so that if the quarterback is going to evade you, he's going to have to move up in the pocket. And then you want these interior guys pushing these linemen back. And so that's what you see here. Even if he's not able to get a free shot, right, he's pushing that guy back into the quarterback's lap. So if I mean, this is a quick throw, so you don't really get to see the edge guys get a chance to get there. But if these guys are getting home, he doesn't really have a lot of space to step up, right? So you're kind of collapsing that pocket. And that's kind of the expectation of what you want to see from the interior guys.
So I don't know if you're following the draft, but PFT commenter may have had the tweet of the night.
Of course.
So OJ Howard was drafted by the Bucks, and he said, "Nice to see OJ Howard, or nice to see OJ followed by a white Bronco for a change, because the player that the Broncos drafted afterwards was white."
Who did the Broncos take? Oh my God.
Holy shit. Yeah. This is yeah, it's we've got,
they took Garrett Bowles.
yeah. And then Jared Davis, linebacker. So Jared Davis, linebacker, went before Reuben Foster. Okay.
And before Zach Cunningham, and before the Ohio State kid.
Dude, okay,
Raekwon
so
McMillan.
Reuben Foster in the second. What do you think?
I'm still passing. I mean, I would be obviously more okay with it there than I would have been with that at 2 or 3 in this case. But again, it comes back to where do I want to spend my resources as a team that kind of needs everything, and linebacker is just not that spot for me. I think if you have an opportunity, I mean, there's still right now where we at. So we've had 2 cornerbacks go. Marshawn Lattimore and Marlon Humphrey are
That's
the
so
only.
weird.
Oh no, Adoree Jackson. Which Adoree Jackson, I don't know that he was a great fit for the Niners anyway. So I don't really think.
Adoree.
I don't know, man.
You know how we are with names.
Whatever.
We'll
Figure it out later.
So
I think
where
it was
did
Adoree.
Adoree Jackson go? I've not been paying attention. Clearly, I've been watching.
So he went to Tennessee with their second pick.
Second pick
At 18.
Okay.
Yeah, so he went right after Jonathan Allen.
Fuck it up. Well, so apparently Miami took Charles Harris at 22, which is happening right this second on
way
television.
fucking ahead of me. Are you on getting that from Twitter, or are you getting that from
I am.
TV?
It's on the Twitters. Matt Mayoko just said it.
Oh man, you're getting tipping picks.
He said the Lions.
Bullshit. Tipping picks right now.
I'm just giving you
Charles
the tip,
Harris.
bro.
Okay. So
I'm giving you just a tip, bro.
this was oh god. Charles Harris is interesting. I mean, he was somebody.
Yes, I think Charles Harris is pretty legit. I mean, so look at that bend. So what's interesting is you look at this film and you look at this reel that they have, and you look at his bend as compared to Solomon Thomas's bend. And again, one play versus one play, but it was a little better. It was a little better.
Yeah, I mean, Charles Harris didn't test out as near the athlete that Solomon Thomas did. This was a guy, like, the one thing I always heard from him, or heard about him rather, was that people in the league seemed to like him more than people outside the league did. So, like, in a lot of draft Twitter essentially, wasn't super high on him for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, he seems to be more kind of the pure pass rusher type, where I think run blocking or run defense, is probably a little bit of a concern. But again, I'm on that Derek Rivers train. I want to see.
Yeah, I like Charles Harris a lot. I really did. Mostly because of Four Verts. Honestly, he convinced me.
Yeah, I want to see. At 34, man, if they could get Derek Rivers, Carl Lawson there, like those, I think that's the type of complementary piece, like the speed on the outside, that would really be nice. Or again, I've been like the people that I've been kind of eyeing are the cornerbacks at 34, Kevin King and Akella Witherspoon. Those are two guys that I really think make a lot of sense for the Niners at 34, because I think they just fit that scheme perfectly. And really the idea of having one of them and then Rashard Robinson at corner in the scheme is just, I think that would be a pretty awesome pairing.
So
we have 69 viewers. Nice.
All right. That's 40 viewers in normal.
Oh, and then somebody left. Well, fuck you.
Well, 68. All right, let's get to the bottom half, and then we'll call it a night. Let's call it a night at 10 because I have to drink beer. All right, there it is again. Looks like 3 technique, maybe 2-eye. Goes outside. Oh no, he's outside.
Yeah, he's shaded nose here, but he's stunting way outside.
Yeah,
so he ends up being the edge guy, the contain guy. So when you're stunting like that, yeah, I mean, this is
that's a 0 play.
All right, again, shaded nose, 1st and 10,
double team.
All right, let's slow it down. So again, look at this. Nobody else is moving. He's jumping the snap count. The ball.
Oh yeah, he's jumping the snap count.
I mean, yeah, the ball hasn't even started to move yet, and he's there. So you get that initial burst. I mean, he's holding up at the line. He's got the double team,
threatening those offensive linemen.
But again, you got your line of scrimmage here, and he's planted on that. Forces the runner to go the other way. It's a good play. Yeah, you can see a little bit of the speed there, right? So
yeah,
not much of a block. He's rolling out, but see him shed that tight end. A little bit of speed in pursuit. I think the burst is clearly, I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways so far is you get the burst off the ball and you get the good hand usage. And I think you can win on the edge like that.
Similar. So he's getting okay. So I'm comparing this to his North Carolina tape, and the double teams here are just as frequent, but he's not breaking through them nearly as much. Why is that?
I don't know. I have to ask him.
Well, shit. The get off is good.
I mean, I think again with the once you see the double. Me, especially when you're talking pass protection, right? Like in the run game, it's a little bit different. You want to see him anchor and you want to see him kind of hold his ground there and not allow one of those, because usually when you're seeing double teams, it's, sometimes in like a power play, it is a true double where they're just really trying to move that guy off, and there's not a lot of intent to move off onto a linebacker. But I think in the NFL game, especially, like usually you're seeing more of a combo block, which is where you start as a double, and then one of those guys is looking to move off and go pick off a linebacker. And so you really want to, as a defensive lineman, be able to kind of anchor and prevent them from doing that, right? Kind of hold your ground and not allow the one guy that's trying to kind of take you over and reach you, not allow him to do that and make it difficult for the second offensive lineman to get up to the second level there. So in pass protection, though, it's a little bit different. As long as you can occupy those guys, I mean, once you've kind of realized, like here, he's doubled, right? Like those two blockers aren't doing anything else. There's not a lot he can do about that. And this is a 3-man rush too, which is some bullshit. I mean, 3-man rush is fucking dumb. But yeah, there's not a whole lot that he can really do there. You want to see him keep an eye on it. But
So real quick, hold on. Giants are about to pick at 23. I'm not tipping picks. Oh man,
Ingram,
Njoku was in the second tight end.
man,
Holy shit,
dude, the fucking Giants offense is gonna, if Eli is not fucking terrible, holy shit. Beckham, Brandon Marshall now on the other side.
Yeah.
You got
He's your
Sterling
possession guy.
Shepard
You got
in the
Beckham
slot.
deep.
Sterling Shepard's fucking great. I love that dude. Now you got Evan Ingram. Man,
Wow.
matchup nightmare. That's what you're looking at there.
So
Damn, I did not expect him to go there.
Here's what Tom Coughlin said about the trade that the 49ers made. He said, quote, "The move that Chicago and San Francisco made, talk about would you like to be the recipient of one of those deals? Question mark. To get what you had in mind right off the bat and pick up those extra picks, pretty nice deal.
Dude,
I've never seen one of those.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
as a
Nothing like
first
that has
move,
ever come my way.
it was great. I mean, that's getting the extra third round pick, especially. I mean, that's a top of the third round, right? Like we're gonna get back-to-back picks there, and really be able to get some quality guys. Man, and then a future third too. We're gonna get another third rounder next year.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It was great. I mean, the only, like, the few scenarios that could have worked out better, maybe Myles Garrett getting there at 2, or getting just a massive haul to kind of move down later into the latter half of the top 10 or just outside of it or something like that. But man, that worked out, I think, pretty well. Getting the guy that everybody expected to kind of go there and getting 3 extra picks for it. It was great to see.
All right, we've got 9 minutes left before we call it a night. What do we got left here on the Solomon Thomas train?
All right, let's keep going. We're almost at halftime.
Dude, he gets so much fucking attention.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the focus.
Basically a mush of 3 dudes.
All right, let's get through. Let's see.
All right. So he's on the inside here, 3 technique.
Rushing outside.
Yeah, rushing outside, and he's got a double team, so it's MBD. Play goes away. Inside. Again, he's got that push stun outside.
They
MBD.
run a lot of games.
They do. They run a lot of stunts. Takeaway from the fucking tape. A lot of stunts.
Move on here.
Hit me again. Where's the? There it is. All right. So he goes to the outside.
I mean, again,
Another stunt.
Birds,
Another
right?
game.
You see the bird. You see him.
Yeah, better than anyone. And he gets his arm out.
Takes on the 2 guys, and he's the first guy in the stunt, right? So
Yeah. So he's playing the. So for those of you who are familiar, he's playing the Justin Smith role right now.
Yeah, he's looking to take those fuckers out.
Yep.
Maybe you want to see him take that guard with him a little bit. You want to
see him reach out and grab that guard, a la Justin Smith.
That's how they teach it. It's funny because it's holding, but You can't.
Hey
see
man,
that shit.
I've seen holding called once.
You
What?
can't see it. I mean, you can't see it in that position. So, yeah, I mean, you want to see him take that guy with him a little bit. I mean, the guard does a good. Again, we talked about the right side being kind of the strength of this offensive line. Those are two pretty good players over there. They handle the stun, I think, pretty well. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I just tweeted out brush instead of bruh because autocorrect sucks.
Okay, so here he gets the better. I mean, this is you like the interior pass rush, right? That's been a pretty.
So he's at 3
consistent thing.
technique right now.
He comes off on the guard.
He hits the snap. He hits boom, comes inside. Oh, hand movement. Bitch, get off.
It's really more the strength. So I like here. So watch right after this. So he gets the hands away. Then he gets into the bowl and just kind of knocks him out, right? And is able to come off quickly. Gets the hit on the quarterback, forces a bad throw. I mean, this.
I want
so
to
you get
cut.
the
You know what I want to do? You know what that play makes me want to do? It makes me want to cut up an entire fucking Solomon Thomas cut up to just Kendrick Lamar lyrics. Like that to me is like he swats it off and he's like, ya bish. Like that's what he's doing. Like he's just like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. I'm going to go ahead and do my thing.
Oh, man.
What's going on there?
Oh, moving on.
Outside. MBD.
And whatever.
All right. You know what? Fuck it. I'm over it.
All
What
right,
are your, I mean, it's almost 10 p.m. It's 6 minutes to 10. At this point, we've been on for 3 hours. In 6 minutes, give me your takeaways from Solomon Thomas. But hold on. I'm going to get a beer.
Wait, so you want me to wait for you? No. So, I think the big thing, which mentioned several times, you see the burst off the ball, which is really promising. I think that's going to be an asset to him, regardless of whether he's lined up inside in sub packages or whether he's on the outside on the edge, where I think you're hoping that he plays. And that's one thing that I'll point out too. And I mentioned this before.
Gary and Conley. Sorry, the Raiders just picked Gary and Conley. Who?
This was one. Oh, dude, this was so he's the other Ohio State cornerback, but he was the one that just had the
rape charge.
Yeah, so where it was like all this
uncertainty
about what was going to happen with him, and nobody really knew what happened with that situation, and so that's why we're seeing Rappaport on right now.
Damn, Ninja.
He took a polygraph tonight for the Raiders.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like one of those situations. It was just kind of bad news. I mean, let me find the exact number. But the passer rating that he allowed in coverage last year was the lowest in the nation. It was something just ridiculous, like 15.6 or something like that. Like his numbers were even better than what you saw from Lattimore. Let's see. Almost got it here. Yeah, that's great. I mean, they were talking about him potentially, like, was he going to be drafted? Was he taken off draft boards entirely? Was he going to, go to the third, fourth round? Like, when were people going to be comfortable taking him? Because he was definitely somebody that was expected to go in the first round before all of that shit happened.
Hot damn. All right, so final impressions on Solomon Thomas. Hit me with them.
Well, I think we'll watch a little bit more.
If people are listening right now, they deserve this.
Yeah, I mean, we got 59 people left, right, out of the 100 so that we were rocking for most of it. So far, I think they're mostly positive. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic in terms of his ability to translate to the edge than some are. I think you can see the athleticism in some snaps. You can see the way that he moves, which is definitely promising. I mean, again, the burst off the ball was something we talked about pretty frequently, which is really going to be an asset to him, regardless of whether he's on the edge or on the interior. And I think when you combine that with getting the extra picks, I think it's good. I mean, we'll watch some more film. I know I will tomorrow, and I think we're gonna come back with kind of a more prepped and kind of, having a chance to really dig into his tape a little bit more, take on Solomon Thomas. And so we'll see if anything else changes once we get some more exposure to him. But overall, I think it's positive. Yeah, I think he's going to be a good fit in this defense. And I think you're starting to see a strength, which is what we were hoping last year. We talked about this with Buckner. You get him and Armstead in that 3-4. We were hoping that was going to be a strength. Now that, you add a third piece, you're converting to this new defensive line. I think this is something that you're hoping these three guys can really kind of anchor your defense right now.
Yeah, and I don't even know that it will necessarily be the three guys, but I do think that they're developing a strength. And I think they're going to be a bully inside. When you think of these players, Thomas, Armstead, Buckner, they're going to beat some people up inside. They're going to hit you hard. And that's what you want. That's what you want from your defense. And you still have round two. You still have round two. And at round two, you can get based on the way the draft has fallen so far, you can get a game-changing corner.
Yeah.
You can get a game-changing corner. You can get a game-changing safety, for fuck's sake. You can still get Budda Baker. You can still get King. You can still get a Keller. Shit, at this rate, you can get a Keller Witherspoon maybe in the third, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I think you start to look at, if King's there at 34, and then maybe you look at somebody, and this, I think if they really like Jimmy Ward at free safety, then maybe this isn't big of a need. But Marcus Williams is another guy that really seems to be a great fit for the single high role. Safety out of Utah. So I think you maybe look at a cornerback like King or Witherspoon at 34. And then with one of those picks that you got in the top of the third round, maybe you look at somebody like Marcus Williams, maybe you look at another edge rusher. I think maybe, again, tight end, I think makes a lot of sense there. So you're going to be in position. I mean, they've got this draft, and tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow's got a lot of good players.
I think at the end of the day, Thomas fits a need. I think he is the Leo. I mean, he is the starting Leo.
Got to be. I think he's
and that makes a ton of sense. And if it's a need, if it's what we need, it's a need. It's what we need. It rhymes. It works. And so I think that it's a fantastic pick. And again, lost in all this, I mean, we spent 2.5 hours on Solomon Thomas tape and spent very little time on the haul that we got to pick him.
Yeah. I mean, let's see here. Let me see if I can pull up. Maybe we can save this for tomorrow. I want to sit here and do this math right now. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll do the math tomorrow. But point is,
Cleveland Browns on the Chase Stewart.
The Browns are going to pick it again. But point is, we got a fuck ton of picks to draft the guy we're going to get anyway. I mean, it's fucking phenomenal. It's great. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it's not Leonard Fournette. Like, fuck yeah, that was the.
You were really worried. I could tell you were really worried.
Dude, it was hard. I was like, oh my god, I don't know. I was ready to cut the broadcast. Like, just like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm not watching Leonard Fournette right now because fuck.
Yeah.
And yeah, it worked out. I think we got, one of the top players, one of the top players that were there on the board.
I agree.
Again, productive athleticism is there. And I wouldn't be worried about the possible redundancy with him and Armstead and Buckner. Like,
I don't think he's redundant at all.
You need good players. And even if that was true, right? Like, even if he ends up being a player that's more in their mold in the NFL, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, again, you need good defensive linemen. You need a lot of good defensive linemen. And having that as a strength, I think, is a very positive thing.
So I'm going to say two things as we leave. One, for those 70 of you who have left us on in the background, I appreciate you. I thank you. Thank you. Two, I've kept the jacket on this entire time, David.
You have. I'm impressed. I was hot, dude. I was like sweating.
Yeah, it's because your facial hair. That's why your facial hair is longer.
There's just a lot of hair up here in general. more than
Jacket
used to.
swag. And 3, the Browns picked Peppers.
Oh my god.
Well done.
This is great.
Well
this
done.
is great for us. I didn't want anything to do with Jabroni.
Well done. I'm pretty sure that Mike Mayock said some permutation of, we're pretty sure that Conley didn't rape anyone
Yeah.
on live TV.
All right then.
He has not been arrested by Trey Wingo. This is something. But either way, this is the draft. We'll let y'all assholes go. For the how many people are watching right now? Like 70? Because
62. 62 is what we
62.
got
All right.
right
For
now.
you 62 that are watching right now, thank you for tuning in. We're gonna turn it in. I don't know that we're gonna be back tomorrow.
I don't know that we're gonna be on here. I think we
We'll be
might
on the Twitters.
have a podcast. Yeah, I think
We'll do a
might
podcast.
that.
And it'll be a bit more structured. Trust me. We'll distill more of the thoughts.
I think we did all right. We were, it was a little bit less drunk podcasting or drunk prospecting than last time when I don't think I was able to complete sentences properly.
Correct. I'm worried about an international audience, really, because it was 3 a.m. when they started listening to this. I mean, 3, 6, 1. I mean, Connor in Port Ireland, guys said it's 2 a.m. Like that's when he started. That's 9 a.m. his time, basically. At the rate at which
we're Friday off, right? Like take Friday off.
I took Friday off.
I took Friday off.
Yeah, I did too. All right.
I'm having it.
All right, homie. Let's watch the rest of the draft. We'll keep texting each other. We've got Seattle, basically. We've got 4 or 5 picks. We'll stop the recording, but we'll keep in touch. And yeah, that does Drunk Prospecting Volume 2.
Success.
I've got
Success.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10. 10 drinks.
Man, you made it through way more than me. I'm at like 6.
Yeah, I'm at 10. There's a reason I took off tomorrow.
One of us, I mean, maybe you're about to throw up now.
I am not about to throw up. Trust me. I was actually drunker last drunk prospecting than I was this one.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously.
I am not. I will remember this tomorrow.
As will I.
All right, bro.
right.
Let's end this bad boy. I'm gonna get the Niners Nation article up, and we'll call it a day.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning. I mean, we got way more viewers than I.
Blazers
really
for
anticipated.
life.
So, yeah. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. It was hopefully you had some fun with us.
All right.